I'm AJ. This is episode number 77 of our weekly podcast directly to you. We're fanatixfour. I'm joined by Parker, who's always here except for when he's Rip. Hi, hello, Parker.
Hello, it's me. I'm here except for when I'm Rip.
Right, exactly. And Parker
and that's
has
not
brought
ripped, by the way, for like those who want not ripped. Like I'm not strong.
Oh
so
yeah, no.
I don't
that's
know.
Why he's always
just for
here.
clarification.
Of course not. And also, how dare you, Mitch, talk before I tell people what your name is?
I'm so sorry.
They're like they couldn't even hear that because I didn't say what your name is, so they can't hear you. That's the law of the land. Speaking of the land, we got the houses are built on land, you know, and they need to be
true.
kept.
What a good.
So housekeeping. You can support us at youtube.com/fanatixfour by clicking the join button, paying $4.99. You get exclusive emotes, you get game time with us, you get free Switch keys from time to time, you get loyalty badges. You can also support us at twitch.tv/fanatixfour for, I think, the same price. You get the same stuff, except for on that platform. You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right, we're done with that. What are you playing?
So for whoever did get it, this is Mitch. It's my friend. He's been on before. I mean, I'm pointing at him. No one can see.
Yeah, he was on when I wasn't here.
That is correct. Indeed.
I was gone.
You were.
I was ripped.
Indeed. Yeah, I was gone the last 2 weeks and I'm back and it's great. Hello, Mitch. Tell us your middle name.
My middle name is Lewis.
There you go. Got it. Okay.
Back to you.
Back to me.
What's your middle name? It's your turn. You can't ask a question like that and then not answer it.
You know what?
That's true.
Everybody guess what my middle name is? I'll tell you next week. I don't know. I'm trying to, whatever the word
Engagement.
is. That's the one. I was going to say exposure. That's not the right word.
Trapezoid.
Parker Trapezoid deal. What are we playing? I'll say I've played a little bit of Pokemon Masters.
Same.
Can you tell me about that?
We want to talk about? Are we talking about Pokemon Masters? Are we doing this?
Yeah, we can jump into that a little bit. I really haven't played all that much. I'm like barely into chapter 2, and chapter 1 was a tutorial, and chapter 2 is just a little less tutorial because that's just the way chapter 2 works in most things.
Right now I don't like it. It's kind of dumb. Because I like the whole draw of it is supposed to be like how Fire Emblem is, where it's like, oh, I got the one that looks cool, or if you're into that sort of thing, not cool but attractive, you know. And Pokemon doesn't really have that because they're all 12.
Yeah. Except
so
for like
you
Cynthia, she's pretty much the only one that's not 12.
and she's like 18, which is still like at this point. She's 12.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't really care. And then the trainers that I do get are like, you got some dumb stuff. Like Lieutenant Surge, I have him. He has a Voltorb. That's dumb. I don't want to use a Voltorb.
Lieutenant Surge is kind of cool, but Voltorb kind of not at all.
I mean, he has a Voltorb, so by default, he's not cool.
Yeah.
Again, the rules of the land or law of the land. What did I say before?
I don't know.
Remember.
Houses are built on land.
Yeah. But yeah, other than that, I'm like on chapter 6, something like that. And I just got to a certain point in the game where I was like, I don't even feel like doing this, and I just been putting it on auto, and that works.
Oh, I didn't even know there was like an auto for the fights.
Yeah, you could put it on auto, and then you could put it on fast auto.
At that point,
you could just coast through
There's no, because you can also put the text on auto for like the talking to people. Because I know some people are enjoying the like. It's got more engaging other characters, I guess, in the sense of that like they're saying a lot of words and talking to you and things. Like I had a friend text me and be like, I really like that all these characters are doing, talking more and all that kind of stuff. But
I don't like that this game has voice acting, but not really has voice acting.
It's like some of the parts in Octopath or whatever, where it's like the text says, hey, I'm going to go to the store. Would you like to join me at the store? And they just say, hey.
Yeah. And a lot of times they don't even do that. Yeah. A lot of times they'd be like, I want to go to the Pokemon Center because my Pokemon fainted. And then the character would be like, ha ha! Like, that's no one on the screen. Like, that type of stuff.
I'm really coasting through life right now. It's been really hard.
Yeah, exactly. It makes me even less interested. Yeah. I already don't want to read a wall of text. And if you're saying something that's completely different from what you're saying on the screen, it just makes me want to skip through the dialogue because I don't want to hear the like boilerplate, like, I'm Misty every time you start talking. It's like, I don't want it. So right now, Pokemon Masters gets a solid 2 out of 20. You know?
Oh man!
Wow,
that's real low.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
You know why it has a 2? Because it looks good. It's real good animation.
It does look pretty good.
It's almost like I said that a certain other Pokemon series should have a.
It reminds me. It does the whole Dragalia Lost thing of like, you do a first download and then it's like, do you want to download the next chapter? And then you say, yeah. Which is good because it means that you can try it out without having like a 4 gig download thing. But it's also kind of annoying when every 20 minutes it's like, you want to download some more stuff? I'm like, I don't know. Sure, if you want. But
yeah,
whatever.
and it's like it almost like forces you to play it all the time.
Yeah.
Because I played it yesterday and then I played it again today and it's like, do you want to download I don't know, it's like 50 megabytes or something like that. So I'm like, how much is it going to be if I'm like, I don't want to play this for like a month, and I come back and it's like, you got to download 2 more gigabytes, because that happened to me with Fire Emblem.
I think it would just download. Oh, really? Okay, I was going to say, I figured it would just do like the next little bits, but
no.
I don't know how that works, so whatever.
Okay, you guys talk about your time.
What have you been playing, Mitch?
Oh, you guys aren't playing Pokemon Masters?
No, I mean, I played a little bit of it. I played, like I said, through chapter 2 or whatever.
Yeah, I heard what you said. I always hear what you say. Mitch, are you playing Pokemon Masters?
No, I
How dare you? Okay, talk about what else you're playing.
I moved the mic into Mitch's face because he's not used to these crazy mic things.
There's so many mics here.
Yeah.
There are many mics.
There's many
Magic.
mics. Magic mics.
I can't think of any other mics. Michael Scott.
Yeah, he's here somewhere in your closet, probably.
That's all of them.
No, I'm not playing Pokemon Masters. I would give it a shot, though. The last phone game I tried, I don't remember the title of it. I played it for hours one night and then realized it wasn't what I was looking for. It was some kind of card game that Capcom made or hired someone to make, and it has several Capcom properties like Mega Man and Resident Evil, and the one that attracted me, Monster Hunter, and there's all sorts of different cards, and it was a really unique take on card games. I probably won't get more into it because that was a while ago, but I guess if you're into those franchises, just look up card game with that stuff and maybe you can find it. But
it was, I mean, as far as like card game mechanic, is it like a Hearthstone kind of or Magic, like that kind of card game?
So there were actions and monsters or minions, whatever you want to call them. But it incorporated a real-time element that was especially unique. Like you would play your, Resident Evil dude. I never played those games. I don't know what it's called. Or your Rathalos from Monster Hunter, or your Zero from Mega Man, and then it would start drawing a line from your side to your opponent's side. And when it reached there, like their attack would hit or whatever, and you're trying to lower their life points. And different people have different like speeds on their attacks or different ways they can interact and stuff like that. It was a really cool concept, but I was in it mostly for the Monster Hunter, and I left a bit dejected when I couldn't make a team out of full Monster Hunter roster.
Yeah.
Not a good team, at least. So I'm more into like flavorful teams instead of actually good teams. So I try and build my Magic decks that way too. That's what I've been playing mostly. It's not even a video game, Magic nowadays. Just building fun.
Magic Mike, right?
Magic Mike, yep. And
got it.
Not going to take that any further.
Yeah, I don't got it. Yeah.
But I'm very much looking forward to Borderlands and Iceborne when that comes out here in the next couple weeks. But other than that, I've been playing a lot of Fire Emblem, which we'll talk about later.
We sure will.
Yes. Before that, Magic the Gathering kind of segues into Yu-Gi-Oh! A little bit.
How's that been going?
I'm playing more Yu-Gi-Oh, man, and I beat the first series, which was weird because I went from GX.
What do you mean first series?
Because how it is, it's like they have all the, there's like 30,000 Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime.
Right,
You can play through all of them. And I started on GX, and then I got to a certain point in that story, and I was like, I don't feel like playing this anymore. And I went back to the first season, and I played through all of that.
Like with Yugi and Joey and Pegasus?
Yeah.
What's up?
And Pegasus is a bunch of nonsense because of like 1,000 eye restrict and what is that, relinquish and all that. I'm not down with that. That's not cool.
Yeah,
sounds like you're down with it.
It would have been real cool if he did the thing and he could like read my mind and stuff. That would have been dope.
Yep.
It would have like, I knew you were going to play that card. I played this card. It would have been annoying and I would have hated it, but it would have been cool. It would have been cool attention to detail.
Thematic, if nothing else.
Yeah. But yeah, I beat that, and now I'm trying to do like the reverse sides because you can play like the other perspective and have them win. And that's a great time, but mostly I'm still just playing Smash Brothers.
True. You were just playing when we were about to start recording.
I sure was. I surely was.
Indeed.
Oh yeah, update. So last week on the podcast when we had Matt on here because Parker was RIP, we were talking about Smash Brothers and he was like, I could beat MKLeo if I practice enough, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to play you to see if that's valid at all.
I forgot I was going to start the show at some point. I forgot about it since like as I was listening last week. I was like, I'm going to just start out this episode and be like, you know what? I was just really thinking, I think I could beat MKLeo. Just like, but I forgot to say it. So here we are with not
so
that
we
joke.
played after. And this was like when we thought the podcast was ripped, dude. Like it was gone.
Yeah.
I already resigned to it. I was like, you know what, the podcast, it's fine. We lose podcasts all the time. But he saved it, or he saved his part. I was already, because I do this every week. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we played for a long time, and he lost most of those matches. I will say towards the end, and by most I mean like 95%. Towards the end, though, he picked Zelda, and he was doing pretty good.
Nice.
So
there you go.
He can adapt, but I don't think he can adapt that well. To the point where he's, yeah. I don't think he's doing all that. But yeah, we can talk about Fire Emblem now.
Yeah.
Did I talk about my whole saga with this save?
I know you've talked about, I think you mentioned it last week, but Mitch doesn't know. But everybody else might. So you can give the abbreviated version.
All right, so I've been playing Fire Emblem on Parker's account. Because at first, I mean, as I said before the podcast, I don't think we said this on the podcast, but I'm not really into like RPGs and like that type. Obviously, everybody on the podcast knows this already. So I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like Fire Emblem. But I was like, I want to, again, the zeitgeist thing. I want to know what people are talking about and play games and have opinions on the things that are the hot topic. So I checked out Fire Emblem through him,
or the
and I ended up liking it.
You know,
I ended up liking it. And I got real far, and I was like, but like, I don't want to start over. I don't want to do that. So I was going to finish the save on his account, and if I liked it enough, I was going to buy it again and then do another route. I don't like it that much. So I didn't do that. But I also, in his whole time, because he's been on vacation, also RIP, and he came here, and he was going to go to New York. So I was like, okay, that means I got to like get a train ticket and go to New York and do all that stuff, and like, set money aside to like go out and do stuff. When we didn't do that, I was like, well, this is just money that I don't have allocated to anything, so I'm going to get the new Switch. And then when I did that, I was like, oh, I had to transfer my saves and stuff like that. And then I got to the ones that don't have cloud saves, which is just Splatoon and Pokemon.
Yep.
And then I was thinking Fire Emblem. I was like, but then I gotta like text Parker and be like, yo, what's your thing? I need to sign in again. I didn't want to do all that.
Yeah.
So I just didn't and ripped my save. It's
honestly
gone.
Even then, I don't know if it would have. Like, I'm trying to think through it because I don't know. You would have had to back up that save to my cloud, which I think would have overwritten my cloud save. Oh, okay.
No. Because I had both Switches. I had access to both Switches at the time because I was in GameStop.
Oh, I see what you mean.
So I would just have to take the save that was on my Switch and then switch it over. If it was a cloud save thing, if I could have did it like that, I would have been able to do it now.
You know, all things considered, actually, we could have done that where like...
Yeah, we could have did it. I could have did the cloud. I just didn't care enough. Let's be honest. We could have did the cloud save and then I put my save up in the cloud and then you just keep yours on the console and then you back up. We could have did that. But again, I didn't care enough. Look, just calling a spade a spade.
Instead, you finished the game a chapter early and only had to...
I was literally on the last chapter. Because we caught up on...
Yeah.
You told me, he was like, oh, maybe watch videos to get caught up on the ending or whatever. And I did that. And I was so mad because I was literally like, I just was like one hit away from ending the story.
Oh my goodness.
And then something happened. I don't know. I guess we had to do this.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm going to put it to sleep and then come back to it later. Should have came back to it.
Should have come back to it.
And I thought I did.
But in any case, so what we're going to do now, I'll segue us into the thing. So each of us, I picked Golden Deer. Mitch, you picked
the Blue Lions.
And AJ?
And I picked the Black Eagle.
That's right. So we each picked a different house. So we figured, especially having Mitch on today so that we could just kind of compare and contrast the differences between the three, because as Mitch and I found out from some of this conversation, they're more different than I kind of expected. I don't know. We'll get into talking about it. But so if you don't want to hear about that, like it'll be spoilery. It just will.
I mean, like very spoilery.
I mean, pretty much the end and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to hear any of that, then check the timestamps and skip to whatever point that is. I don't know what time it's going to be in the thing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would let you know now. But check the timestamps and just skip to that, and then we'll get to the rest of the news and the rest of the show as it normally goes. But yeah, here's this in any case. So heads up, warning, leave now into the next bit. And otherwise, here we go.
Right. Okay. So I want to establish why everybody picked the house that they did. Like, why specifically did you pick Golden Deer?
I thought I was going to pick Blue Lions just because honestly, just because blue. That was literally the only reason that I was going to pick it. Met all the people and I don't know, Black Eagles and Edelgard just seemed kind of like Hubert, especially. I think Cloud made me feel like, well, that's kind of what they're like, just like real heavy and dark, whatever. And I just didn't really feel like that vibed with me super well. And the Blue Lions seemed very like noble and stuff, and Golden Deer just seemed quirky and fun. And I was like, I'm all about quirky and fun. So that was most of it. Just the characters in it spoke to me a little bit better.
Yep.
What about you with the Blue Lions?
So my initial gut feeling just going into the game was that I was going to go with the Black Eagles for similar reasons, just because, I like red, so why not? The first encounter that you have with the leaders where you kind of get a feel for what they're about, Claude just seemed kind of too lighthearted for someone who's about to be a leader, and Edelgard seemed to come down like too hard, like not a lot of mercy there. Dimitri really seems like noble and virtuous, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good representation. And then going and meeting all the students, I really appreciated the Blue Lion students more so than the rest, I think. So
I'm deeply hurt and offended, but you know what? I'll take it.
I like Claude. I just don't want to teach Claude.
So I came in and I didn't have any opinions at all because, as we all know, I didn't pay attention to this game. Are you crazy? So I just played it by ear, and I was like, all right, I'm going to talk to each person and like all their little classmates and stuff like that, and see which one I like more. I talked to the Golden Deer people, and I almost did it. But then I talked to Claude. I was right there.
Yeah.
And I talked to him, and then he seemed kind of sketchy. He's
got a personality. I'll say that. We'll get more into that later, but
I was like, I don't like that. Ironically, I was like, I think he's probably going to turn on me, so I'm not. I'm not going with that one. So I was like, nope, not going there. And I went to Blue Lions, and I didn't even talk to her. I just talked to Dimitri. I was like, you're boring, and I left. And then I went to Black Eagles, and then Edelgard's whatever. I was like, okay, fine, sure. And I talked to the students, and I was like, oh yeah, I like a lot of the students in here. I don't like. I don't remember the guy's name, the sketchy dude.
Hubert?
Who you said, Hubert. Yeah, I don't like him. But everybody, one bad apple, I can't let it spoil the bunch,
Makes sense. I mean, I've got Lauren's in mind, so like he grows on you. He gets a bit better towards the end. You guys wouldn't necessarily know that because it's after the time skip, but like, man, he's not best either, so I feel you there.
That was one of my favorite parts of the game, was finding students that like at the beginning rubbed me the wrong way, and then later on like really endeared themselves to me.
Yep.
That was definitely...
Do you have one in particular that you feel like had the biggest jump?
I think there were two, probably. One of them is Dedu, who is kind of Dimitri's right-hand student, like there with him all the time.
Yep.
He was just super plain and felt like he had no personality at all, like just basically Dimitri's lapdog, essentially. And then there's Sylvain, who was just, I think they basically call him a skirt chaser, just a ladies' man, not necessarily successful. Well, actually, more successful than some. I think you had a student who was just like not charming, who fancied himself as charming.
Oh, right, yes.
Whereas Sylvain was charming, but kind of got him into trouble. And he had some close friends that like expected better of him, and maybe he got there. We don't have to dwell on that now, but there's a couple of mine. Do you have any in mind?
Okay, so Raphael, like right off the bat, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like him much at all. And then within very short time, I was like, nah, he's great. He's the best and I love him.
He seemed a bit one-dimensional as well. Every time I talked to him, he's like, I'm so big and I'm hungry all the time.
I think it was in all the support conversations, he's just like super caring and like caring, but then also like, don't even worry about that. That's all right. If somebody's like, I just feel really down on myself, he's like, nah, you're doing a great job. And he really means it too, where he's just, I don't know. So that kind of stuff was fun.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And then, I mean, a bunch of the other ones also got better and stuff, but some of them kind of stayed. Some of them also is because like Cyril, I like don't love the character, but he ended up being really great combat wise. So I just turned on, he kind of turned around in that sense where I was like, okay, actually, he's kind of cool. Just not even in personality, just because he's useful in battle.
Fair enough, yeah.
So, what about you, AJ?
I think I had a similar thing in terms of like the combat situation, because there wasn't a student that I was like, I think I'm going to hate this person. I end up liking them, or like the reverse of that. The only student that I looked at and was like, I don't like you, was Hubert, and I ended the way that I started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not.
So it was Bernadetta where I was like, I think you're going to be useless, but she's a beast.
Yeah.
She ended up like just OHKOing everyone all the time, always.
That was the same for Lysithia on my team. She did great.
I was on the receiving end of that on one battle. So AJ, I'm really curious as far as the roleplay aspect goes. You're not usually into RPGs, I hear. So this game had a lot of RPG elements, but then it had some that you could just pretty much ignore if you wanted to. Like, how much did you delve into the bonds and stuff like that?
Or even the like training and stuff. Like, did you do like instruct manually or automatically? Any of that?
For the most part, like if I'm going to play a game, I'm going to play the game.
Gotcha.
Right. So like I didn't want to auto anything. The only thing that I would auto no, but I mean like for this, like that's a mobile game, you know, like
this is on a Switch. It's a mobile game too.
Oh my goodness.
No, but it's a mobile game in the sense that it's supposed to be brainless and stupid.
Yeah, that's true.
The whole point of Fire Emblem is to be like this in-depth, like systems-based thing. But I did do like the battles that didn't actually matter, like the I don't know what they're called, like
ancillary, I think. So
yeah. Those battles, I would auto those, but for the most part, that was only doable because I made my students confident.
I tried autoing those, but
did it make you feel uncomfortable?
No, because I eventually because I would try to make the most of every week, and it got to a point where I could do 2 ancillary battles a weekend. But the first round,
3 by the end.
Could you?
Yeah,
you were
I think that was. Yeah, I think that was the A+ thing, which was kind of nice.
Anyway, so I set it for auto for 1 round, and I don't know how you guys are. You might be I know Parker's this way.
Yeah.
In a game when you have consumable items, I am very stingy about using those. So in a game where your equipment has a limited number of uses, I almost never used like the relic weapons. And when I set it for auto, they just went like all my best stuff blowing it all at once. Like that little minion, he's getting like weapons arted with my relic, 5 durability off. I was like, no, never again. Unless I'm taking this and putting it in the wagon. Yeah. There's no way I'm autoing you again. Because you're just blowing through all the resources.
Yeah.
I very much so did not have that approach. I bought all the things and I had so many weapons that it just didn't matter.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, just give me another silver sword. Give me 4 of those. Give me a silver axe. You know, like all that stuff.
I bought things, and then like once I bought my first round of things, I like never bought any of the weapons again, because I just forged and repaired stuff and like just would forge it to get better and blah, blah, blah. And like, pretty much never bought anything again, and would wait until it was down to like 1 or 2 durability and then repair it to get like the most out of it. Because I'm just a frugal guy.
Same.
So like I finished the game with like 100,000 gold and stuff, which is
I bought multiples of most things because there would be times where I didn't have enough resources to forge enough of whatever it was when I was saving it. So I didn't want to have to deal with that. So I wanted to be like, all right, this one's about to break. I'm going to switch this out and I'm going to fix it later when I have enough resources.
That's fair.
So that's how that works.
Okay.
So in terms of like some of the like more RPG stuff, like you know, like wandering the church and all that stuff, towards the end, I didn't care about that. I was like, all right, I just want to like do what I need to do and then go to direct routes, go to the cafeteria and eat food and be done.
Yep.
So I would like try to rush through that stuff towards the end, but in the beginning I tried to like give it a chance, you know, and like give it a good shot.
Once you got all your support class, like all my support levels were A and S and stuff like that the last couple months or whatever. So I didn't really feel like it was worth it to talk to everybody in their speech bubbles because I knew what they were going to talk about. Like they were going to talk about like, it's crazy all this business going around. Like, oh yes, why? And I'm just like, okay, yeah, there's a war going on. You're so right. But like, we don't really need to be talking about it right now. We can just go do the war.
I don't think I ever did that.
Yeah.
I didn't like, oh, there's a speech bubble, I'm going to talk to that guy.
The longest time, the beginning, like, I mean, honestly, the first 2/3 of the game, every speech bubble was taken care of, 100%. But then towards the end, not so much.
I definitely did not do that. I just tended to my students and did what they needed, and then I was done.
Yep.
And like also, you know, like I tried the fishing situation and going to the greenhouse and training grounds and all that stuff, but I wasn't like, oh, this random person I'm never going to talk to again wants to talk to me, let's have a conversation. I didn't do that.
Pro tip on the fishing, by the way, and then I'd like to get into this like story plot differences thing because I'm very curious about that. Pro tip on the fishing thing: if you want to get your professor level up, wait until a month that has the like bonus thing of like fistful of fishes or something like that. Where there's, and then for every time you fish, you get 2 to 4 of that, and then try to fish for only red ones. I went from A to A+ in like 2 weeks by doing that 1 week and going most of the way, and then to the rest of the way. So
for listeners, 2 weeks is essentially like 2 rounds, like 2 turns,
which normally would take to do that same thing. The normal means without doing that would probably have taken like a lot more of that, whatever.
Yes.
Whatever. So, story stuff. I'm curious. I feel like before the time skip, it probably is about the same for everybody. I would guess.
So. I would imagine.
We're just training students and blah blah blah. Like things seem weird and fishy. You have to fight.
I would say like Edelgard, she telegraphs what's going to happen pretty early on. Like I would say like when she's like a B, maybe a C. She's like, promise me that if like something happens, she'll be on my side and stuff like that. I'm like,
interesting. Yeah, even that I didn't experience that in my side because, like, you know, I didn't. The only conversations I had with her, she was like, "Hello, professor, ready to die?" Right. Not really.
Yeah, like I don't know, man. She seems like a good one.
Yeah. Okay, so even before you were having that, Mitch, did you have kind of those suspicions of Edelgard specifically?
Well, this is getting a bit more in depth. So Dimitri actually revealed that he and Edelgard spent about a year together when they were very young. I don't know if you caught that on your side, AJ. I won't fully get into it, partially because I think a bit of it might have gone over my head, but their familial situation kind of intertwined them a bit. And for those of you who aren't super familiar, Dimitri is like prince to the Fargus Kingdom, which is one big faction, and then Edelgard is with the Empire. So they're, I think, like peaceful with each other, but still separate. So the fact that they spent some time together when they were young is pretty significant. So Dimitri has like he's not like affectionate or anything, not like romantically interested, but still fond of her, and gave her like a dagger as a gift or whatever. And I think at some point some bad guys show up and like maybe the dagger makes an appearance, so it makes you wonder, like, is she involved somehow?
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Interesting. Yeah, mine, honestly, like, Edelgard, I mean, she seemed fishy because she and Hubert were fishy, and the Monica stuff, and then it turns out Monica was bad, who really, her name was Galbal, blah, blah, I don't know, whatever it was. I don't know.
I think.
Yeah. Krav Maga. And... but then besides that, like, Claude was very suspicious of... Honestly, I thought the church was going to end up being the bad guy.
I did too.
Because Claude was very suspicious of, like, the church and all that. And, like, I don't know about all this stuff. And he was just very, like... Because he's kind of sneaky, but he also...
That's why I thought he was sketchy. Because, like, how he would talk about that. And I was like, oh, no, man. And, like, that was another... Like, that's the main element that I think is interesting about this. And kind of frustrating about how the story's set up. Is, like... They do a good job, in quotation marks, of making you feel like you picked the right side.
Right.
Once you did it. Because like I looked at a little bit of the stuff of like if you side with Edelgard, because I did not do that.
I was gonna ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she like Rhea, she seems so much worse, like so much worse if you side with Edelgard, like tyrannical and like all that stuff.
Because she already had some of that for sure. Like I agreed with Claude a little bit, where like it seems kind of fishy and like trying to kill all the infidels and whatever too. Like I honestly, if it gave me the option, I was going to just for. Honestly, this conversation type purposes, I was going to go against the church to see what happened because I was just curious, like, what's it going to be like? It gave you the option to do that? It didn't, but if it had, I was going to go with it and keep a second save file just in case I wanted to back out.
This is super interesting to me. So the Blue Lions, Dimitri's faction, is like tied very closely with the church, and I won't necessarily get into why because that's probably just too much for right now.
I mean, you should. That's why we're here.
Okay, sure. Well, it's not exactly spoilers. It's just like background information. So the Empire had like the whole of the kingdom at first. Before there was Dimitri's faction, before there was Claude's faction, it was just the Empire. And then there were some revolts led by a king. And then as a result of those revolts...
The Nemesis King...
No, not yet.
Oh, no.
Not yet.
Okay. Oh, you're right. Yes. Okay, go on.
Yeah. The kingdom was founded. So it was the Empire, which is, Edelgard's, and then the kingdom, which is Dimitri's. As a condition of the kingdom being founded, they allowed the church to like proselytize freely. That was kind of like part of the agreement. So that's why they were able to be founded and have such success. So the kingdom is like very tied in close with the church. So when stuff with the church was going down, it was interesting to see the Blue Lions perspective on it. Like fairly early on in the game, we had Lord Lenato's revolt where he went against the church. And as a result of that, I don't know if you guys talked to many people after that, they like purged that part of the...
That was the Western Church or whatever?
Yeah, they like just called them apostates and it was like, purge them. And so like talking to the students... A lot of Golden Deer were like, ooh, I don't know about all that. Yeah, which was interesting because then like from the church's side, they were like, well, I guess they revolted. Like if you talk to the students, like they weren't like super in favor of it for the most part, but they were like, c'est la vie. Except for one of my students, one of my favorites, his name is Ash. He's like the adopted son of Lenato. He like understood, but was like super sad about it. Yeah.
Yep.
Ash is great.
That's interesting. Also, I think one thing kind of to your point, AJ, or just a thought about it, how you mentioned like it tries to make every side seem like they're like they chose the right thing. Mitch and I figured out through a thing that I think whatever path you pick, really, like the story it's not that you're seeing a different side of the same war. It's that like it's an alternate reality where it like, it changes all the things. So like, it's interesting how like you kind of, in each of these things, you just happen to luckily pick the right side too, or something like that.
It could be luckily, or it could be the professor's influence is shaping the events. So like there is a thing that was going to happen and you plot professor in any one of the houses, it just changes.
Yeah, that's very true. And honestly, a side thing kind of off of that, Sothis, very involved in the first half of the game, and then you have the transformation thingy where Professor... So again, if anybody... At this point, either you've played the game or whatever. I don't want to...
You already got spoiled.
So Sothis she's the goddess or whatever, but she's a character. She doesn't know who she is at the beginning, and then blah, blah, blah. You find out like she is the goddess that's being talked about, and then she's like somehow inside the professor pretty much. She's like part of him. And I actually leave that on there on purpose.
Okay.
Mitch,
trying to break. Did they talk about that for you? Like, did they did break down why it happened and like that? Okay.
Yeah, so they did right at the end.
Not for me.
Oh, they didn't.
Ooh. Yeah, Blue Lions did not get details. I don't want to like fully interrupt, but it's super interesting to me that each path like reveals critical details and then like withholds critical details.
All the political stuff, I don't feel like I got a whole lot of your political backstory type stuff in my playthrough, unless it was supposed to be really background that I like went and read about it or something, but I don't think that was the case. But the first half, like you interact with Sothis, and she even mentions towards the end, right before like when the professor dies and has to come back, it mentions she's like, we're not going to be able to speak anymore in the same way. And then you don't. And like, I kind of wish that you could, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, something, that whole character feels like that was just a character that was interesting, kind of intriguing, and is gone now. And it doesn't feel like her being in the professor as like part of him and being together as one made him any different either. Like, I was thinking maybe now he'll have some personality. That was not the case.
Nope.
So I don't know, that stuff.
I think that, well, I don't, because just in the interest of you guys at this point, I don't know how deep you want to go into why and like that sort of thing and why that changed what I wanted to do and like how that was with Edelgard and all that stuff. Because I think a big part of that painted my perspective on
so
like,
how did it frame the whole Edelgard thing? Because I do wonder that, like, I just don't know. Yeah, in the Black Eagles thing, obviously Edelgard leads the revolt, blah, blah, blah. And then I don't know.
So, remember a while ago, I tweeted that thing and I was like, oh, shoot, essentially. And everybody was like, oh, is it an announcement or something like that? And I was like, no, it was this. It was the moment where Edelgard was like, I'm done. I'm going my own way or whatever, right? And like, we're on this mission and we're supposed to be protecting the church and like all the like crests or whatever. And then it was like the reveal of like, it's me, I'm doing it. And I'm like, oh, snap. And then and after that, the time skip happens. And it's like, you don't really understand why she's doing it. It doesn't really like say much in terms of like, oh, well, she's clearly like she has a good motive for this or whatever. Like
it does not tell you that?
It does if you go deeper into it. Okay. She like tries to like petition you and say, hey, let's do it, man. Like, this is why I want to go against the church, because they're evil and they're like classist and I want to destroy that and all that
so
stuff.
There's at least 1 month, right? Then because I remember after the first battle happens, there's at least 1, maybe 2 months at the monastery where I get to talk to all of her students, and her students are like, whoa, that's crazy, blah, blah, blah. So you also would have had at least like 1 or 2 months where like you're still in the monastery, but Edelgard's gone. Is that right? Interesting. Yeah. Did you ever, before making the choice of joining her or not, did you have to fight her?
Yes. Oh. That was with the initial thing of me being like, oh, shoot, she's a bad guy, man.
Interesting. How was that battle like, not having Edelgard on your team?
It was whatever, dude. I mean, she was like one of my best students, but she wasn't the best one. Bernadetta was. So it was like losing her was like, whatever, man. Like, I don't care.
Yep. Interesting.
Man, yeah.
Okay, so it gave you the option. So she tried to frame her side pretty well. So do you think it seemed pretty even which side you could go with?
For the listeners also who might not have played a whole lot, when we're saying like frame her side, we're talking about like these 3 alliances or kingdoms are at this monastery together and it's being attacked repeatedly by like bad guys. So this is the side she's trying to frame. Like, this is why I'm attacking a monastery. So there we go.
And that's what it is. It's like, they're so classist and like, this is why things are how they are. And I want to destroy that and make everybody equal and like that sort of thing. And like, it's just like, because, well, again, I don't know. Do you guys
go for it? Yeah.
I want to know. All
right. So Rhea is like your mom-child combination thing.
Yeah.
Because like Rhea's mom is Sothis. But she also, when you were a baby, you're dying or whatever, and she saved you by putting Sothis essentially inside of you.
Yep.
So that made me think, I'm like, but wait, she's like my mom-child combination.
Yeah.
I can't kill her.
Well, I'm going to need a chart. So Sothis is Rhea's mom.
Sothis is the goddess. There's a couple of children of the goddess that happened. Saros, who was the one in the first cutscene, was Rhea. But it was forever ago, blah, blah, blah. But like that was Rhea. And I don't know if it went into that in the Black Eagles thing. But yeah, so there was her and some other ones. There were all sorts of factions split off, whatever. She's now going under the guise as Lady Rhea, but she missed her mom and stuff. And also like I guess her mom's power was dying out or something like that. And all the stuff with Nemesis, blah, 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 blah. And so Lady Rhea was like, I'm going to put, Sothis in this baby.
She was like trying to put Sothis and a lot, like she like made children.
I missed. They didn't
she,
talk
like-
about that part.
And she was like trying to put Sothis in all of them, and they died
Was she?
because
Was she doing the bloodletting stuff or whatever, like with the bad guys?
kinda.
Interesting.
It was like she was like trying to, and it wasn't like, I don't want to use that analogy because I don't even know if it will make sense to you. But she was basically like all these kids that she created. She's like, okay, well, this is going to be like your vessel or whatever. That vessel died. This one, that one died. Oh, this kid, he's dying. He's dying anyway. So let's try it with him. And they try it with him, and it worked.
Yep.
All
For
right.
her,
So Ray is not his biological mother. Just
Right.
okay. And Gerald still is dead. Like,
Yes.
Straight up. Okay.
Yep. But
Which even that
I
seems
know,
weird.
I
Yeah, the
agree.
hair.
I was like,
Because you could have just said no. You could have been like, nah, that's not my dad. And then would that have changed the whole conversation?
we talked about
We looked-
that.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't think so.
It doesn't.
Yeah. But it's interesting in any case. Okay, that's super curious. So skipping, just so we're not like taking too long to talk about this stuff, skipping kind of towards the end, the way that mine went, so blah, 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 pretty much we were like in the Golden Deer, the time skip happens, we come back, at some point I show back up in a town, the professor does, and then starts to go back to the monastery to defeat some thieves after he like finds Claude or whatever, and then all these other people start showing up, all the classmates, and it's like, oh, here we go. And then pretty much through that process we rebuild the monastery and plan to overthrow the empire is the idea. And then most of the rest of the second half is slowly chipping away at overthrowing little bits and pieces of the empire and like slithering into this place and doing some stuff and then that stuff and this place, blah, blah, blah. All pretty straightforward plot wise until we get to, with just like kind of political thingies in there. And then we get to the Battle of Gronder Field, which I think we all had. We all came back to.
Did you have that, AJ?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So in that, Mitch and I did talk about this experience. I tried everything I could to not kill any of the blue lions because I was like, maybe I can team up with the blue lions. And they didn't let me not kill them because they tried to attack me and they murdered themselves. But I still avoided as many as possible and killed all the black eagles and then found out I had to kill the blue lions anyway. So I did.
Only Dimitri.
Yes, that's true. So a bunch of the other ones, it was like that person retreated or whatever. When I beat them, but then it was like, oh, I'm just retreating. So, but Dimitri like died, like he was dead, and then everybody else retreated. I keep going.
Dimitri was like trying to help me.
What?
I remember that.
Oh,
He was
Tell
like
me
trying to help
more.
me.
That's so
He was
different.
like, we can offer you some of our people to help you out in this fight.
Help you do
dude.
what?
But he did die. To fight
Edelgard and
war.
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that makes sense that he would trust.
because you weren't with Edelgard.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. So, because that would make sense that he would trust the class that betrayed their own leader to, like, because that means, like, obviously they're upstanding and they're fighting for similar reasons that he is or something. Whereas in mine, he was just out for blood. Like, he pretty much, like, as soon as the war started, the Battle of Gronder Field, we were like, maybe they can help us. And he just goes, kill them all. And we're like, no. So I still tried to avoid him, but like he just wanted to kill everybody. So yeah.
Poor Dimitri.
Man. But yeah, so then just kind of finishing it off, we finished that battle. Dedu survived, and then the next battle, like the next couple, we were trying to like beat Edelgard and those kinds of people and like working our way up the empire. And then Dedu shows up and he's like, I don't know if our motives are the same, but I also want to kill Edelgard, so like might as well work together for at least this part. So he showed up by his lonesome in the like Edelgard battle. I managed to save him, and then he just never showed up again. But like I beat Edelgard, and this was the battle that Mitch and I were on our lunch break, and I was like, okay, I don't think this is the last one, but like maybe it is. But like, I don't know if I want to get those chests if this is the last one. Which, side note, the last one also had chests in it. Like, whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't know if I want to get those chests if this is the last one. And Mitch was like, yeah, it is the last one. Because I was like, yeah, you can just tell me. And it turned out it was not the last one for me, but it had been for him. So
That's weird.
Yeah, beat Edelgard, and then it turned out, long story short, she and Hubert left a note behind that was like, those who slither in the dark, blah, 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 blah. We want to like defeat them. We've been working kind of with them, but like don't want them around, and they're bad. So even though we're gone and dead, kill those who slither in the dark, which is the like Nemesis and
Tomas, the person who was
pretending to be Tomas. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, had to defeat Tomas, and then he brought back to life Nemesis. Had to defeat Nemesis.
Whoa,
yeah, so that was a fun fight. Yeah,
dang. What kind of weapon did he wield since he didn't have the sword?
They all had. This was really cool. It was him and his 10 elites. They were, and they all had dark versions of different weapons. I think of all of my classes. Like special weapons.
That's cool.
So that was really fun. So like one of my Claude's bow is the fail not, and so one of them had fail not and then a little dark symbol or something.
You know, like the 10 elites are the origins of the crests that have been passed down from generations.
So they all had the crest weapons, and then they were all like levels 44 or 43 or something like that, except for Nemesis was level 60.
Oh dang, dude. Did you lose anyone in that last fight?
I didn't. No, I managed to. I was playing it super careful, and like it was looking a little rough there for a minute. But there were still chests in that battle, which was just weird because it was the last battle.
That is weird. Did Nemesis have like one health bar or what?
He had one health bar. Yeah.
Okay.
That wasn't the last battle for me.
Yeah. No. So I think that's the thing is that especially super different for everybody.
What, did you have that battle, AJ?
No.
Okay. I didn't have that battle at all.
So that was the long story short of mine. Now I'm curious to hear kind of you guys' like quick paths of like what happened after the time skip.
Yeah.
So after the time skip, it was like this thing of like, we're going to like dismantle them from the inside out. So we had like little like encounters with like her lackeys and whatnot.
Were you pretending to be part of her empire then?
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought you meant like spying, like being like...
No, we were just like cutting them off at little things because they had their own thing going on. They're trying to like dismantle us bit by bit.
Right.
And we're just like trying to get each other. Long story short, I beat Edelgard. We had the whole thing of like, my professor, regret, blah, blah. Here's a note thing. Hubert's like, we got a note, get the note.
Yep.
So I get the note and like, oh man, Slithers in the dark and all that nonsense. So then I had to fight them and all that stuff. And I had this thing where the last fight was basically a whole bunch of like of the children or like direct descendants of the children of the goddess or whatever.
Oh, interesting.
And they all turned into those like those dragon thingies that Rhea turned into.
Yeah.
And like the thing that I found weird is if you side with Edelgard, she like turns into it by choice, and she's like already like even when she's in her regular form, she's like talking like she's like all aggressive and evil and whatnot. But now she like kind of got forced into it somehow. I don't remember how she got forced into it, but I just remember her screaming a lot and her being like, I don't want to turn into this thing. And then she started attacking me and all my people. And that's what happened. And then she got killed. Well, she didn't die actually, but you beat her. And then she's like, oh man, like that was rough. I'm glad that we got through it.
Gotcha. Was Tomas or his, not Tomas, but Tomas, was he in that battle or did you defeat him earlier?
I think I defeated him earlier, but I don't remember. The main thing about that last battle that I remember is Rhea.
Yeah.
That was like she was the big bad, the one that I had to beat to end the mission.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I missed that. You said Rhea was she didn't, because she was one of the children of the goddess. And for some reason when you said Rhea earlier, I was thinking Edelgard. So Rhea, she didn't want to turn into a demonic beast thing, but had to be. Huh.
Yeah.
Did she like die at the end then, or did?
No. She was good.
Gotcha.
Interesting. Okay. And Edelgard, you did have to defeat.
Yes.
Or before that battle.
And she's gone. Okay. Yeah. Rip her.
Yep.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Man.
So.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'll go. So I'll start a bit before the time skip even. Well, even before I get there. So those who slither in the dark seem to be like some of the main bad guys, and maybe Edelgard and the Empire were kind of working with them to take down the church. But those who slither in the dark have like even more motives beyond that, like darker things. Edelgard sounds like maybe she wants to bring upon a peaceful empire, and like the ends justify the means, and the church is bad, and to make way for the good, got to get rid of the church. And she's just working with those who slither in the dark to make that happen. So in the Blue Line route, you learn nothing about those who slither in the dark at all. So you just pretty much know like Edelgard bad, and you think she's doing all the stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll start a bit before the time skip because it's important to know Dimitri because he changes drastically.
Yeah.
So earlier I mentioned that I was attracted to the Blue Lions because Dimitri was like
Had that nice
virtuous,
hair, and you were like, oh,
that nice
yeah.
hair, yeah. And no, he just seemed to have. He was super level-headed. He was like going to be the king when he grew up, but he was like for the people and just like all around good dude, like caring, and like he was just great. And so like he was very like invested in his classmates and in his studies and in his training, and like wanted the best for his people. So you get to know him over the months. And then like maybe after some ball or something, you get some one-on-one time with Dimitri, and it's playing like this celebratory music, and you're just getting to talk to him some. And you're like, you know, what do you want, Dimitri, like out of life? You know, do you want to be king and stuff? And he's like, well, I am going to have to be king, blah, blah, blah. Looking forward to that, I guess, whatever. And but I really came to the Officers Academy for, and then like the cheery music just cuts out, and he's like, for revenge. It's like, and if you've been with the Blue Lions for several months now, like I'm talking like, you know, 20 hours or something like that. This is like, whoa, where is this coming from? So a little backstory, Dimitri's parents, like his whole family, was killed in the tragedy at Duscur. Duscur, it was, I understand, kind of a vassal state of Fargus. So they were like part of it, but not fully part of it. And after the tragedy at Duscur, where his king, the father, and the mother were killed, there was retaliation, and like most of the Duscur people were wiped out. And only a small few remain, and they are not trusted like whatsoever. People wiped out the Duscurians because they believed that they perpetrated the tragedy at Duscur and killed the king and queen. Dimitri doesn't fully believe this. He came to the academy to find out more about who might have really perpetrated it. That's also why Dedue is so loyal to Dimitri, because Dedue is from Duscur, and Dimitri saved Dedue from being killed with the rest of the Duscur people when they were being retaliated against. So you've got Dimitri, who's normally level-headed, but then they're starting to show this, like, he's cracking a little bit. Like, he's showing his real motives there. Then fast forward to one of the last missions before the time skip. It's revealed that Edelgard is the Flame Emperor, and the Flame Emperor is taking credit for the tragedy at Duscur. Dimitri has like close ties to Edelgard, really cares about Edelgard.
Not for long.
He just breaks. Like, he goes on like a bloodlust rampage and kills like all this bad soldiers around him and whatnot, and tries to get Edelgard, and she gets away. But from that point on, he's just like a totally different person. And then you get to the time skip, and you find him in the monastery, and at first he's just like sitting in the shadows, all defeated and whatnot. And then you kind of rouse him, and you get the same kind of welcome back thing where you're fighting off bandits, and all the students come and try and help. And then he's like, where's Dedue? And he's like, Dedue is dead. So like one of my favorite characters gets straight up killed.
Wait, Dedue is dead?
Dedue is dead. Straight up
dude.
killed with no screen time after the time skip. And this is
interesting.
Like one of Dimitri's probably one of the only people he can really trust, and his closest friend in a way.
And you might have also, like, just gameplay wise, you might have kind of built strategy around him.
I did. And he gets replaced.
You protected him for so long. You could have just let him get ripped.
Well, he was ripped. That's for sure. He was my fortress. He was my fortress knight. So he did really good for like the first 2 turns, and then I never saw him again because he was way in the back because he was so dang slow.
I told you, Hilda was the same way for me for a long time until I finally got her on a wyvern. But that battle, the one where like, oh, everybody's coming back after the time skip. Everybody like was making their way towards the middle, and then every turn I'd go and be like, all right, you've moved, everybody's moved. Why isn't it the enemy's turn yet? And then I'd go a bit like, oh, Hilda, it's still all the way in the corner, and I could move for like 2 spaces, and like doop, doop, doop. And then every single turn, I was like, "How come I'm not done yet?" That was why.
Yep. So that was Dedue, and I mentioned earlier that I didn't really care much for Dedue anyway. He was just a flat character, but you learned that a lot of that was like because of what he endured and seeing like almost all of his people get killed, and you eventually like he starts to show like some more of his like gentle side and what he wants out of life and his ambitions and stuff like that. And so you get close to Dedue if you bother building bonds with him.
Yeah.
And they just straight up kill him. Just kill him.
Man.
Post time skip. And they replace him with Gilbert, who I didn't like initially and still kind of don't like.
Yeah.
There's more into that, but it's
Did they just give him the same level and stuff as Gilbert?
Gilbert is designed like Dedue. Like he was a fortress knight coming in because he was a knight of the church, so it kind of made sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, so at this point, like all the students back together is like, what should we do? The Empire has like taken over almost everything. The Alliance is having their own civil war because some of them want to back the Empire, some of them want to back the Kingdom. So they're fighting amongst themselves. And the students are like, we should try and save the people in the Kingdom because the Empire is attacking them and we need to save them. And Dimitri's like, we have to kill Edelgard and everyone who blah, blah, blah. So, like, everyone is trying to temper Dimitri a bit, but he is the king, so he makes all the decisions.
Yeah.
So, basically, for the next couple of months, you're, like, kind of incidentally helping people along the way, but you were, like, trekking for Edelgard.
Do you feel like in your... So, Claude for mine was very much like, well, here's what I think we should do, but what do you think, Teach? Like, it was always kind of his outlook or whatever. Like even at his most, like, I don't know, whatever the word is, that was kind of his thing was like, yeah, I mean, I'm going to do this and like, you can stand in my way and we'll just have to do different things at that point. But what do you think, Teach? Was that not the case for...
Absolutely not. Dimitri was like single-minded and you were with him or you were against him. Yeah. And like that was it.
That's funny.
And he was even like willing to use the students as like, if you die fighting, then that's just the way it is. Like he was just cold and detached at that point. Wow. And as time progressed, he kind of like opens up a little bit and you learn that he's just like harboring the deaths of his parents and now like even more people. And he feels like his own hands are blood-soaked. And so there's like no coming back for him. And that's kind of where you see him at Gronder. And before Gronder, which is where all 3 of the armies fight in one battle, I think a messenger was sent to the Alliance to try and arrange something, and the messenger ended up dead. So Dimitri took that as like Claude killed the messenger. Claude is not interested in like joining forces against the Empire, when really there's no proof that they did it. It's just a dead messenger. Like the Empire could have done it and made it look like that. Super easy to manipulate.
Unless
Dimitri
it was a
at this point.
messenger from Ocarina of Time, in which case you can't even catch up with him no matter what you do anyway. So
frustrating.
There you go.
Anyway, so going into Gronder, he wasn't going to be friends with Claude or anybody. So unfortunately, I had to kill all the Golden Deer people as well, except for Hilda and Claude. They escaped.
Did you ever see them again?
Rip, dude.
Yeah, we do actually, and I'll get to that in a bit. So eventually, you know, Dimitri is still pretty bullheaded at this point, but then there's like a turning point when a main character... okay, so let me back up just a bit. After one of the main battles, you save some villagers, and one of them is like, I want to stick around and help. And Dimitri's like, all right, as long as you're helpful, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, and the villager's like, I want to avenge my brother. And Dimitri's like, I understand what vengeance is like. Like, you can stick along. It's just like a villager at this point. And then after another one of the battles, the villager shows up and is like, I want to avenge my brother, and lunges to stab Dimitri. And another main character jumps in the way and like takes it and dies, and they have to take away the villager. Apparently Dimitri, after the time skip at some point, had like killed some bandits or something, and that was her brother. And so that's like the turning point for Dimitri, where he's like, this is where vengeance has gotten this person. Where is vengeance taking me? And so
Wait,
he's
which
like,
of your main characters died then?
It was Felix's dad.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So a main character, but not a playable character.
Gotcha.
Which, you know, whatever. But,
whatever, Felix's dad.
There is also a battle where once you advance a certain point, you get like flanked by a whole bunch of people. And then after another turn of that, Dedue shows up, and he's not really dead. He made it. Nice. He's like super scarred in the face, but he didn't do anything that badly either, because he was still a fortress knight. He was way in the back, but I was so happy he was alive. So anyway, that was a turning point for Dimitri, where he's like, I'm going to extend the Branch of Peace to Edelgard even, and he's
Wow.
gonna, instead of like seeking vengeance on Edelgard, he's gonna go save his own people. So they were like super close to the capital, so he like beelined and went back to the kingdom to prioritize saving them instead. And so like Dimitri's back to his old self, probably even better. And then you had the final fight like with Edelgard, and she is monstrous. It's the same place where you had your final fight.
Yep.
But she's like in the form of like some grotesque being.
Okay.
She doesn't look like the regular dark beasts. She's like she's right humanoid-ish. But she can throw.
Oh, she like transformed?
Yeah, she transformed.
Wow.
And her little cutscene before that was like, basically, I don't want to do this, but I have to do this. Like, this is a small price to pay to make whatever happen.
Yeah.
Still have no idea who those who slither in the dark are, but
You never ran into Tomas again and killed him or anything?
let's back up for that. So those who slither in the dark,
Yeah.
I understand, were important for golden eagles, or
Right.
golden deer,
and
and
black
also
eagles.
for
Yeah.
black eagles. So there's a few characters who will like transform, I guess, who have like been pretending to be someone they're not. Well, in Blue Lions, you kill one of those characters before they even reveal that they're a bad guy.
Was it
Dimitri
Tomas?
is
Do you
doing
remember?
his like bloodlust thing, and
Yeah.
he's like, no, there's no forgiveness for you. So like one of the main bad guys you kill without knowing his significance,
Oh, my
like almost
goodness.
at all, which is hilarious to me after hearing your
But
guys'
it's
stories.
not Tomas, and it's not...
No, it's like Lord Arundel or something. Like
Never met him.
I think it's
No clue.
I think it's
I heard that name, but I'm so removed that
It's all right.
like names are outside of my house. I know Claude,
I think it's
I know
Edelgard's
Dimitri.
uncle or something like
Okay,
that.
interesting.
So at this point, it was
That's
like
funny.
someone posing as Edelgard's uncle.
Yeah.
So he was an Empire general,
Right.
but we didn't know he was a Slither in the dark, like head honcho. So
Yeah.
that was just humorous to
That's
me
super
that's how
funny.
that went down. But anyway, Edelgard is monstrous when you fight her. And so you defeat her. She has like 4 health bars.
Yeah. Oh,
And
wow.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
She was bonkers,
That's
man.
how Rhea was for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will say
Got a whole bunch
the main guy, Nemesis, didn't have multiple health bars, but you had to beat all of the 10 other guys. You couldn't just beeline it for him. You had to beat all the 10 other elites before you could fight him.
That's
and
how
he had
that's how Rhea was
Oh,
too.
nice. Sweet.
you had to beat all the dragon thingies.
Yep.
To make her weaker, and then you
Interesting.
go and fight her, and she still has a whole bunch of health.
Yep.
bars.
Oh, dang.
But yeah, when
Wasn't
I
great.
when I fought, when I like actually went to attack him, pretty much the only thing that did damage was the Sword of the Creator, which I thought was nice and topical and stuff. So
Appreciate
I
that.
Used that and then healed him up, and then waited for the other guy's turn to attack me. He missed me, and I just did him. I was like, there you go.
It's dramatic.
That's okay.
So
Interesting,
just
yeah.
I know I've talked a lot. I'm super into this. I love the Blue Lions. Almost done. So you defeat Edelgard.
It works.
Yeah. She like shed her shadowy appendages
Yep.
and things like that and became her old self. And Dimitri's extends the olive branch of peace and is like,
Yep.
we can come back from this, that kind of thing. And like in her eyes, I think you can tell she's thinking about it. And then like real quick, she like, you hear just like a noise, like, metal unsheathing or whatever. And then it does like a flashback, and it shows the knife that Dimitri gave her, like sticking out of Dimitri's breastplate.
Oh,
and then
no.
Dimitri has like stabbed her with his lance,
Wow.
which is super sad. So I think,
Did he die from that?
no, he
Okay.
like pulls it out,
Yeah.
and she falls over dead.
Wow.
So not sure exactly where that's coming from. Like if she knew she was defeated, or if she was just being stubborn, or if she didn't like want to put Dimitri through more than he'd already been through, because she was like having some lingering
Yeah.
feelings from their childhood too, because he kind of appealed to that a bit. I don't really know what to make of that, but
interesting.
I think I really enjoyed that.
It's interesting too, because like I feel like Claude was important for sure in our story, but I feel like the professor was very like. It sounds to me like Dimitri was more important in your story compared to the
Than you
professor
were.
than the professor was. Like in mine, the professor was just the most important character
Interesting.
Yeah.
by a
same.
lot.
Same.
Interesting. Oh, back to Claude. Sorry again. So we did see Claude again. He sent a messenger to us petitioning for our urgent help.
Okay.
And when you arrived, you kind of he's put himself in a defensive position and allowed people into the city. And in doing that, you get to like pincer attack the enemy, kind of. And apparently, like you talk to Claude about it afterwards, and he's like, you put yourself in an awfully vulnerable position. You really trusted us to come that much? And Claude was like, I knew you'd do the right thing in the end. And then Claude like relinquished the alliance. He's like, I've got some other things that I want to do. Like the things are already in motion to have the alliance like be absorbed back into the kingdom again. So that's how that wraps up.
Yeah, Claude's a good guy. I'll say.
I like Claude.
He's a pretty good guy.
Yeah, he was sketchy.
He was.
He's all right. He's all right now.
Okay, that very interesting. Last thing on all this that I'm just curious about: how do you guys feel? Because we mentioned it a little bit, not on the air, but Mitch and I talked about it the other day. The relationships thing and marriage and all that. Like thoughts on any of that? AJ, do you have any thoughts? Because I kind of know what Mitch's are.
Not really. It kind of seems inconsequential. To me, because especially after the only other Fire Emblem game I've ever played and didn't finish being Fire Emblem Awakening, and you like the relationships thing has such a bigger impact on your gameplay because you make children and they fight with you.
Oh dang.
But in this case, it just is like flavor text. Yeah, essentially.
And I think
it's like, oh yeah, you like
give
this person
better
a lot.
buffs to each other in battle. Is like I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, but even then, it's like that happens with other people you rank up anyway.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's just more so. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, it just feels kind of weird. Yep. I was like trying to figure it because again, the only other one I played was that, and I was like, what's up with that, man? When I start making kids, man, what's going on?
Who did you try and romance?
Dorothea.
Okay. Yep.
Because she was the one that I made the dancer.
Nice.
And then she was just really useful. And it was, who'd you make your dancer?
It's either Marion or Marianne or Marianne, but that sounds very like Marianne, like Southern. I don't know.
Yeah. She does like horses.
Yeah, true.
She's like a chorus person. She was like a singer. And I was like, oh, okay, it makes sense that you're a dancer then.
That absolutely makes sense.
For sure. Yeah, I wished that we'd had just like one or two chapters where it's like you are together or whatever during the gameplay. For some reason, like, not that I don't want it to be to the level of Awakening, and from what I hear, Echo's Shadow of Valencia or whatever. Like, I think those were like really dating sim kind of things. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure. Whereas this, I just would like just a little bit more than it was, where it's not like, and you were married afterwards. Like,
I feel like this game is almost even more dating simmy in the sense that you have to do more of that sort of thing, like go out tea time, you know, like that.
True, just without
you're still
the
building
rewards
a relation.
from it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's I think what I want.
It's like,
yes.
You do all the same stuff, but you don't get rewarded for it in this game as much until the end, where it's like you like each other, you're married. Here's text. You did this thing at the end of the game. It's like
exactly.
Just feels pointless.
Mitch, any last thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was disappointing. It did feel a little fruitless. Like I spent time romancing certain character, and then like just wasn't much of a payoff there. Well, there was. I think I was just let down. So the regular Bond conversations, for the most part, I thought were great between the professor and the people a little bit, but more so between the established characters.
Right.
I really enjoyed seeing those bonds build. So if I didn't know that there was like a romancing option, I probably wouldn't be disappointed.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was just relationships growing, friendships growing, understanding characters, character development, like, that's a really good point. Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
But yeah, just getting into the epilogue was kind of I did enjoy the like pairings at the end, where it was kind of like the end of a movie. Like, what happens to the characters 20 years from now? Like, that was fun, and I understand that depending on bonds, that can change as well.
Oh, interesting.
So that's interesting.
Fan theory that I came up with. You know how maybe you guys didn't run into this in your playthroughs. You know how Ignatz like wants to be a painter and stuff, and he probably mentioned it in like flavor text and you guys' things, but it was a big deal in mine where he's coming to school to be a knight, but that's just because his family needs somebody to be a knight to pay the bills, kind of a thing. But really, he wants to be an artist and a painter. I think that all the paintings that we see at the beginning of each chapter, I think that's his paintings. That's what I'm choosing to believe because it's fun.
I appreciate that.
So there you go. All right, we've talked about that a long time. Any closing thoughts on this, you guys?
I wish my save didn't get deleted. You know what I mean?
True.
But it's also my fault. So
True. It's just a good excuse to do the playthrough if you ever decide to.
Yeah.
yeah, but that's a $60 playthrough at this point.
Yeah.
I had to pay for it the first time,
That's a
but
good
now
point.
I do.
That's a
I
good
mean,
point.
I can give you my login stuff again. You can play through it that way again.
Yeah, but then I
I
gotta
know.
coordinate with you again, and that's not fun.
Yep.
Well, I really enjoyed it, and I think when they release the next patch, I think they're going to release another patch for free with the ludicrous difficulty.
Yep.
Probably give that a try with another one of the houses, see how that goes.
Yeah. That's fun.
But I really enjoyed it. I put like 70-something hours into it, and it's a great game.
Yep. Same.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you guys said, except for the save data. I have my own save data because I bought it myself with my own monies.
Rip, dude.
Because Nintendo
Rip.
didn't send it to us, and I was...
Yeah, Rip, dude. What's up with that, man?
Yeah.
What's up,
Similarly,
Nintendo?
you
Come
didn't get
on.
Astral Chains, right?
I mean, if you could, but I'm still going to play that though. But what's up, Nintendo?
Yeah.
If you would have told me, like, hey, you're going to get Marvel's Ultimate Alliance for Fire Emblem, I'd pick Fire Emblem probably.
You got to build up your bond. Your
right.
bond level's probably
True.
just like a C. You got to get
True.
something.
What a
That's
good
true.
point.
Got to build it back up because before they were sending me everything.
So okay, if you looked at our timestamps, this is where you got to. Hi,
Hello.
it's like no time even happened. What you talking about, Willis? We're getting... Obviously, we spent a lot of time already talking about this, so we're going to go through some of the news things a little fast and then get to the rest of the show just kind of the regular way, but just go through it a little bit faster for some of the things. But nevertheless, here's some news stuff. Here we go. First thing, very important, Untitled Goose Game got announced with a date, or it just got a date.
It got a date.
It's going out September 20th for $15
Which,
on
like,
sale.
How much
of
money
$20.
do they expect people to have?
Oh my
Like,
goodness!
what's
September.
going on?
Yeah.
You're saying that's
With
too much?
September 20th.
No, sorry. I thought you meant for Goose Game. That was too much.
No. I just mean everything is coming out on September 20th.
Yeah. It's
They got Link's Awakening coming out on that day.
Nino Cooney.
Yeah, Nino Cooney. They got the Switch Lite coming out on that day. I think a lot of the Amiibos are coming out on that day.
yeah.
It's just
Here's what I'm
crazy.
wondering. And yeah, it's $20 game, but it'll be on sale for $15. I guess maybe just as a
the
pre-buy.
both of the Pokemon Amiibo, the
yeah.
Squirtle, Ivysaur, they're coming out on September 20th.
Nice.
And then Link's Awakening and then that Amiibo. So if you just buy those things that we mentioned, that's like $500.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
That's a lot. So here's my question to you guys with this. Why do we think Untitled Goose Game got so popular? And I've got a little bit of a theory on like why it's delayed or why it took so long to come out and things, but I don't know, just like the whole culture around this. What do you guys make of it?
Because it's dumb and funny. Like, I think that's all it really takes. It's like, I want to play a game about a goose that doesn't have a title. That is now the title. I'm down with that.
Yep. What do you think, Mitch?
Yeah, there's something special about that. Well, my fear is that people support it because it's ridiculous. And then when the rubber meets the road and it's time to buy it, they're going to be like, $15 for this? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, it's just ridiculous. But along the same lines that, like, Goat Simulator is ridiculous. I don't know if you've been to the Nintendo store to look at that little trailer video. There's you're like a goat on a jetpack. You can be on the moon.
it's
You
crazy.
can, like, it's crazy. There's nonsensical things. So I'm sure there's something to that.
Yep.
But yeah,
I think them putting it out on the 20th is what is going to make that happen. Because I want to play this game, but on the same day as Link's Awakening,
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I mean, at this
even
point,
if
it's
I
got-
get it for free, I don't know if I'm going to pick that up.
Yeah. At this point, it's got so much like hype behind it and buzz around it that I think it'll do fine. Once it shows up on the top sellers list, I think it'll be all right. And the fact that it's releasing pretty soon after it was given a date. Like if they were like, it's coming out January 39th, we'd be like, oh, okay. And then by that time, you'd have a little bit forgotten about it. But right now, like it's around a pretty hype time. So here's my theory with it. I think it wasn't going to be that in-depth of a game. Like it was like fun theory and like fun, stuff in theory. But as far as like practicality goes, it was just going to be sort of, not that much stuff going on. And then everybody I said Theory, and Siri thought I said her name. Also, that was your phone, so apparently our voices are that similar. That's funny. So I feel like once they saw how much hype was up around it, they were like, oh, crap. Like, we've got to make this game good now. Like, it was probably already going to be fine, but just kind of small. And especially it being on sale from the get-go, like, I feel like I think it is going to be good now, but they're really, like, hedging their bets where they're like, ooh, I hope we meet the expectations and all that stuff. But it looks pretty fun.
On one hand,
yeah.
How can you not meet the expectations? But on the other hand, how can you?
Yeah. I know Grimhain is not looking forward to this game. I mean, he's just...
Yeah, I mean, we might as well read those questions now.
That was from Discord. So... This is from the Q&A section, but we're grabbing it early. Grimhain said, why are people so hyped for Goose Game? And Justin said, dude, how are you not hyped for Goose Game? Patar35 said, Goose Game has a release date. Same day as Link's Awakening. Will y'all find time to play this odd game, or will it get lost in the shuffle?
It's going to get lost, just because, like, and not because I don't want to play this game, because I do want to play this game,
yep, same.
But big major AAA games get lost in the show. Big AAA games get lost because I'm still playing Smash Brothers. So you really think that I'm going to play Goose Game when I had to play Link's Awakening that also is still competing with Smash Brothers, that also is probably going to be competing with Astral Chain, that I will certainly not be done with by the 20th.
I will say for this one, Nintendo's been difficult at giving us review copies, or I mean, it's never review copies, but I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
But indie devs,
they've been random. They like, because it's not like they're doing any less.
Yeah.
Because they still like, hey, you want to go to New York to do this thing? Hey, here's this code or whatever. It's just random stuff where they're like, nah, we don't have that one.
But that said, indie games are typically pretty good. The times that I've reached out for indie games is pretty easy. Right. I'll reach out for sure, and I hopefully we'll get a code, and then I'll definitely play it if I get it for free. If I have to pay for it, among all the other things that I have to pay for, I don't know if that's going to happen immediately, but we'll see.
Yeah, man.
Untitled Goose Game. What a time. It'll be fun. Moving on to the next news bits. This is a whole bunch of games that got announced this week. I even forgot to put some in here, but I'll try to remember them.
There's so
I'm
many
curious
games,
which ones you're looking at, Mitch. He's going, oh, with his face. Yeah. Disney's remaking Lion King and Aladdin, along with Digital Eclipse and NightHawk Interactive, and it'll release for $30 on October 29th, including several versions of the games. Long story short...
Not the SNES version of Lion King, though. That's weird.
No... I think, yes, SNES version of Lion King, not SNES version of Aladdin.
Oh, yeah. It's Aladdin. Oh, never mind. Not Rip that. That one's fine.
Those are notoriously difficult, right?
Lion King especially is the one. AJ disagrees because I wonder, is there any chance, AJ, that you... Okay, there was a time when I was like 5... No, like 8. And I remember thinking back and I was like... At the time, I was like, man, I stayed up all night playing this game on Windows 95 and blah, 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 blah. And then I realized like several years later that I probably really stayed up till like 10 p.m. But that was like a lot later than I normally did. So I was like, wow, I stayed up so late. It was all night. But really, it wasn't. Is there any chance that it was that kind of thing where you're like, I beat the whole game, but it was like... You really actually didn't, but you thought you did?
No, okay. No. Because, like, I've since gone back to, like, watch playthroughs of this thing, and I distinctly remember every bit and piece of this game. I think it's more so a case of kids having better reflexes, and when this game comes out, I'll probably suck at it. And also the fact that kids are, like, obsessive with media, where it's like, I probably watched Lion King 15 times. I'm not even... I couldn't watch a movie more than once now.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I saw half of this movie. I'm never watching it again. So I think it also contributed to it. But I just think it's weird that people that were also kids when this game came out were like, this game's impossible. Because like it wasn't that hard. There was one part of the game that I hated, and it was the whole Hakuna Matata. No. It was just can't wait to be king.
Oh,
it was like bugged, like the monkey part where it was like
I've heard that
the hit detection was weird. But other than that, it was like it wasn't that hard.
Yeah, I think that's been most of the complaints that I've heard is just like weird hit detection spots where like you're jumping on logs in water and they don't realize it's like, no, I definitely jumped on that. Where it's like it's as opposed to like Celeste, where you're like, obviously I did something wrong there, or those kinds of games. This was like, no, you did something wrong. Like I got it. I should have gotten that.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it comes out on my birthday. That's fun. I don't really care about them enough as far as my birthday goes.
Everybody buy Parker, Lion King, and Aladdin.
Yeah.
Everybody.
There's a bunch of versions, so that's up. I realized just now the next one is the one Mitch is really excited about. Castle Crashers releasing September 17th for $15.
Yes, I'm super excited for Castle Crashers. I played the snot out of that. Oh man, it's such a great couch co-op game, and it's just like whimsical and fun and obnoxious.
I've never played it. I'm excited.
I'll play it with you.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm down.
Is that online? Multiplayer?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that probably means that we're going to end up streaming this.
That's great.
Good point. And although it comes out, it's the Tuesday before Link's Awakening and all that stuff. So
Oh, never mind. We're not streaming that rip, dude.
That's all right.
yeah,
Solid
maybe,
soundtrack,
yeah,
too.
I don't know. Oh yeah,
Yep.
good stuff.
I actually didn't see Castle Crashers on the list.
Oh, you
I was
saw the
facing for
bottom one.
Overwatch.
Yep.
Sorry, we skipped one.
Hey, you know
We
what?
can
It's
come
all
back
right.
to it.
Then the last two ones that I have on this list, but not the last one that I just remembered, Risk of Rain 2 and Bulletstorm Duke of a Switch, both shadow dropped today, which is yesterday if you're listening on the day this came out. Friday the 30th. It's out, whatever. They're $30 each. Risk of Rain 2 is that game, you know about it. And Bulletstorm Duke of a Switch, actually... I mean, not as far as like gameplay. Graphics wise, looks great. I saw a little bit of the first gameplay of it, and I watched it, and it looks pretty solid. I don't care about first person shooters, so
How dare
whatever.
you? How dare you? How dare you? Me either. I don't either.
So that's up. And then the last one as well is Mega Man Z collection, Mega Man ZX, whatever, all that stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Whenever that's coming out, I forgot because I didn't write it down. There you go.
So they're probably going to put the Battle Network games on there.
Yep.
Which Bob hates. Bob hates those games.
Somebody was theorizing because they've got another one. You know, last year they announced Mega Man 11 during one of their we're going to talk about Mega Man X collection or something like that, whatever.
Right.
They've got another one of those presentations coming up, so could be that they announce.
Give me Mega Man X9,
that's
my
the dream
guy.
for some people.
'Cause
I
that's
don't really
the one
care.
that I wanted instead of Mega Man 11. Because Mega Man 11 is like, why are you not just Mega Man X9? You know what I'm saying?
Next up, next things. Sorry, we're rushing through these, but Astral Chain is out now. Reviews look pretty good. All that stuff.
And I resigned myself to not playing this game because I was like, I literally just said at the end of the video, hey, you guys be cool with me making more Pokemon videos. You want more Pokemon videos? How about more Pokemon videos? And people are like, yeah, sure, let's have more Pokemon videos. And then I'm going to make an Astral Chain video the week after that. No, that's dumb. So I was just like, I don't need to play this.
Yep.
And then my aunt, she was like, yo, I got Astral Chain. And I was like, okay. She's like, you need to play Astral Chain. Here, put my account on your Switch. I'm like, all right.
Nice.
It's like, I guess I'm playing Astral Chain.
Okay, well, good stuff.
So maybe the week after this week, possibly the week after that, I'll make a video about Astral Chain. I told Lizdrin, because he DM'd me, was like, yo, are you talking about Astral Chain? Because I don't want to buy it unless I know that either you or Bob like it.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, nah, I don't think I'm going to do that. And then after that, I was like, nah, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it.
That's, I mean, yeah, I can respect that for sure, Lizdrin, because there's people, everybody that's, or the two preview conversations I've seen about Daemon X Machina so far are ones that I don't know that I really, it's not that I don't trust the person talking about it, it's just that I know that I don't see
You
eye
don't,
to
like,
eye
align
anyway. So
with
it's
them.
like,
Yeah,
it doesn't really
yeah.
matter what you say about it, because it's not going to really be, coincidental
Right,
to me.
because they love all the games that you hate and hate
that
all the
kind of
games
thing.
you
Like
love.
the times they talk about games that I like, I'm like, yeah, it feels like you're being nitpicky about the things that I don't care about. Like, that's not to say that you can't care about them or whatever. Like, one of them was Nintendo got to talk about it and stuff. And I read some of this stuff and I was like, I just, like any of the other times that he talks about games, fully respect his opinion, but it just doesn't really line up with mine. So it doesn't matter too much.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear more from more people about that game and hopefully get a demo and that kind of stuff to see if it's going to be something I'm into or not. But I'm curious.
I think the biggest thing is just one, consistency and the ability to really break down why you have this opinion. And it doesn't necessarily because there's certain things that's I don't like stuff like that because that's just dumb. And off the bat, it's like, oh, okay, if it's like a systems heavy RPG thing, that's not something I'm going there for, right? And as long as somebody is clear about that, and then they break down the stuff that they don't like, even if it is a genre that you like that they don't, or vice versa, you can still see what their opinion you can hear their opinion and base yours off of that and say, okay, they didn't like this, but they explained what that is and why they didn't like it. So I will like that, and I'm going to buy that.
Yeah, there were plenty of things like in the Mario Maker 2, we talked about it when that game was coming out, but the Game Explain conversations around that was a lot of things where it's like, this thing isn't as good as in Mario Maker 1. And I'm like, that's totally fine. But it's also not stuff that I really care about or whatever. A couple of those kinds of things.
Because it wasn't something that you played. Like, for them, a lot of the stuff that they're like, oh, I don't like this about Mario Maker 2 because it's not, like, as whimsical and crazy and weird. But, like, you never even experienced that. So, like, you don't need the crazy and weird because it's only referential. It's like, I remember when that game did that. Now it's just, like, more about function. And function's fine, too.
Yeah, exactly. And so and none of that is to diminish anybody's specific opinion, but it's just to say that, like...
No, I'm diminishing everybody's opinion, especially Bob's. You're stupid. You're dumb. All right? You hear me?
Astral Chain's out now. Reviews are good. Some people are review bombing it, apparently, because it's... Pretty much it seems like there's people review bombing it with zeros because it's a Switch exclusive.
Oh, yeah.
And so then people are fighting that back with giving it all 10s because, whatever. But which also won't even out correctly anyway, but it doesn't matter. But don't worry about those. Just look at the real reviews if you want.
User reviews don't matter. They don't matter.
Just look at just listen to people that you know. I mean, like Lizard said, like listen to people that you respect and agree with.
Listen to me.
So that's stuff. The last news bit that we've got here is a leak that seems pretty much for sure Overwatch coming to Switch.
That's pretty cool.
What? But Overwatch could have never ran on Switch, though. What about that? This happens so often, where it's like, and because you've been subscribed to this channel, where forever ago, I'm like, this game's coming to Switch. It will work. It'll be perfect. And then people in the comments and people in tweets and all that stuff on there, they're like, I can't do that. The Switch isn't powerful enough, blah, blah, blah. So the armchair computer engineers. Yeah. And I'm like, nah, this is dumb. You're dumb. It's coming to Switch. And lo and behold, here we are. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
If The Witcher can make it onto the Switch, I have faith that they could put almost anything on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and there's so many examples like that. It happens so many times because at first that was Rocket League, and then it was
Doom.
What is it? Doom, and now it's The Witcher. Yeah. Where and for me. That too, but even like the asterisk with that is like, oh, that's an Xbox 360 game or whatever. But for me, it's more so like if Breath of the Wild can run on Switch, then your game can run on Switch. It's not about like if you can run the game on a CPU level, like if it's able to handle your systems, the graphics don't matter. Like give me like cell shaded graphics of a cell shaded version of whatever game you got. As long as the systems work, the game can run on Switch.
Yep. For sure. And that is it as far as the news things. Now we've got video comments that we're going to talk about. And so first we got AJ's video. And I didn't tell Mitch to watch these. He said, should I do any prep? And I said, nope. So Mitch shouldn't watch these because I didn't tell him to.
How dare you? The Too Long Didn't Read is my videos about Pokemon and how it needs to learn stuff from Dragon Quest. But like not necessarily become Dragon Quest. Just like, this is a neat thing. It should do something like that.
Yep. All right.
So Agreed. That's what this video is about.
So here we go. So here's some comments. Some of them we will agree fully with. Some of them we won't. And we'll just find out what happens when it happens. Michael Mulligan says, I don't buy the excuse the Pokemon Company doesn't know how to make a next-gen home console game. Pokemon makes more money than any other franchise in history. Hire people from around the world that know how to do it. Out of ideas and unable to evolve the franchise? Hire some of the new game developers you inspired to get into the industry who are now grown-ups and want to make a main series Pokemon game. Use the money to make a AAA title. I love your suggestions on movement and battle, by the way. I think implementing defense...
Wait, let's go
we'll stop
bit by bit on this one. All right, so this is an attitude that I agree with, but at the same time, I disagree because that doesn't work logistically. You can't just say like, okay, we're hiring a whole bunch of new talent and they're going to like meld well with our team perfectly and we can make a brand new AAA game on Switch and it's going to release when everybody expects it to and it'll be great. It doesn't work like that. Like they can start hiring now for next time, but we're already too deep in. Yeah. That's not going to happen now.
There's to some degree too, I think just... Because I think I agree in theory for sure that like Game Freak likes and the Pokemon Company, they like the and Creatures Inc. like the size that they're at and are stagnate around that size to where they should grow and they have the money to grow. Right. But at the same time, it's kind of like if I wanted my house cleaned like 100 times faster, I couldn't hire 100 people to clean my house at the same time because they wouldn't all fit. And like, so there are logistics issues as far as that goes, where like having enough managers and that kind of thing. Like my team at work, honestly, was that kind of situation where we hired too many people all at once and it just like, just didn't work, where like our manager just wasn't able to do whatever. It doesn't matter.
Because like that's what happened with Retro Studios at the end of the day. You watch my Retro Studios video, Michael Mulligan, where they basically were like, oh, we have all this money, we can hire all these people, and all these people were working on so many like disparate things that really didn't have anything to do with anything. And they're like, we have all this time and money and people, so like let's just make a lot of stuff and figure out how it works. That's the situation that they would be in. Whereas what they should do is slowly hire on people and say, okay, we're bringing on 10 new people and we're going to give them roles within the company and integrate them in the way that makes sense for this game, and then level them up.
Because there's definitely a case to where like, there are people that are great at doing things and can use that expertise to bring into a certain conversation. But at the same time, you want a game to like feel like a Pokemon game to some degree. And I guess if you bring in a whole bunch of different people that have really different areas of expertise without all working together cohesively and being managed similarly or something, I don't know, however that works, I could imagine that you'd run into a situation where it just doesn't really blend together very well because you've got so much different stuff going on. But I think the idea, like you said, the idea is correct, that they need to be like growing and aware of that they have that kind of need, but it's not really a 0 to 60 sort of situation, unfortunately. And then the other issue is that like they don't know if they should do that. Because like we think that the video games are like their thing, like the games probably like they pretty much drive everything else in the sense that they determine like, okay, this is what the Pokemon are going to look like, and this is what the next season is going to be, and like that sort of thing. But in terms of revenue, the games aren't the most impressive thing. Like I'm sending you guys something now in the chat that I saw posted earlier where it's like, yes, by far Pokemon most profitable property, but the games only contribute like what, like maybe 15% of that. Interesting. Sure. What's the rest of it? I can't, the picture's too small. The biggest part is merchandising. Oh yeah. And then the next biggest part is games. Yep. And then the next biggest part trading from that is which is almost as much as games, to be honest. That's crazy.
That's wild. Yeah. I guess the overhead for games maybe is significantly more than the cards, I would imagine.
Yeah, that possibly could very well be.
Yep. So like I think it's a thing of like, okay, how much should we invest in this? And at the same time, I think that they can increase that by making the value of the merchandise kind of like merge more with the value of the games, and by like combining the value, where I'm always talking about like, hey, how come everything in Pokemon is like this and like this wide and imaginative and stuff like that, and the games stick to how they are, and it's like this very like systemic like RPG situation, when nothing else is like that in the whole universe of this IP. So maybe they can start to work closer to like increasing that and taking more of that pie, but just on paper it doesn't really make sense for them.
I think Arlo had a good video talking about that kind of thing and kind of broached it fairly well, I felt like, because a lot of people I feel like go way too far in one direction or the other. They're either like Pokemon Company apologists, where it's like they're doing everything perfect, don't even worry about it, which there's not a lot of people in that camp.
Yeah, there's a lot less of those now, or, they took away the national decks, and that broke those.
It's either that or the other side of like, I can't believe what you guys are doing, you're running everything, you can do it so much better. And it's like, yeah, I know, it's somewhere in the middle. It's always going to be somewhere in the middle.
I am very much so directly in the middle with everything on Pokemon. And that's why I talk about it so much, because it's like I'm in the middle in terms of like how I consume it, where it's like a lot of people are like either super casual and it's like, I'm just going to catch the Pokemon and that's all I care about, and there's other people that's like, I'm in it for the competitive, I'm going to be the #1 trainer and stuff like that, and it's like I'm directly in the middle of that. So it's like, and I feel the same way with like how I look at Game Freak, where it's like I want them to improve, but I can understand why they don't.
I think from a business standpoint, too, the amount of additional revenue or amount of additional resources that would have to go into their game might not pay off as much. Like, I'm sure it would pay off, but it might not return like one for one.
It would make people happier, but it wouldn't necessarily make more people buy the game kind of a thing. Yeah.
For them as a business, is it worth like the cost?
Yeah.
They're already going to sell so many copies and they're not out to make the best game that can be made.
Right. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, I probably talked about this before on here, but in a songwriting class that I took in college at some point, which seems dumb, but is a thing nevertheless, he talked about how like pop or like radio songs are always going to be 2s, 3s, or 4s, probably mostly 3s on a 1 to 5 scale, because my 5 is somebody else's 1, which is 100% true. Because like some of my favorite songs are like progressive metal songs or something like that. And if I showed that to somebody else, I don't know, even to my wife, she'd be like, nope, not about this life. And then meanwhile, like somebody else's song that's their favorite is not necessarily mine. But then like all the radio songs are just pretty middle of the row, and they accommodate the most people. So I think that's kind of that they're trying to, they probably know they could make a much better game, but how many people would fall off because of that?
Right.
So, all right, I'm going to keep going with reading the thing. And here we go. I love your suggestions on movement in battle, by the way. I think implementing defensive moves might help to change the battle a bit as well. What I mean is Charizard uses Flamethrower to attack, but maybe he also can use it to help ward off incoming Razor Leafs or lessen the blow of an oncoming Hydro Pump. It lessens the damage dealt, but at the cost of additional PP. Maybe your party characters can only use 3 Pokemon, like most NPCs, and the trainer type dictates the type of Pokemon that can be added to their team. Example, youngsters can only use unevolved...
Okay, so this one's a different point.
True.
The first thing that you said, the defensive moves and stuff like that, I actually talked about that in the past video.
Yep.
I actually said exactly this mechanic.
It sounds
so I didn't want to talk about it again. And that's the danger with making so many Pokemon videos, is because I know that I said all this stuff and I know I don't want to say it again, but there's so many people that's like, hey, what if they did this? I'm like, but I said that already.
Just every other sentence say blah blah blah. Also, I talked about this in that video and blah blah blah, and I talked about this in that video.
Just like half of the video is me plugging other Pokemon videos.
But yeah, I think that sounds super cool. I mean, I just agree with that in general. I said just agree, not disagree. It sounded like disagree.
Yeah.
I agree with that in general. And it reminds me of the anime. Honestly, more things, if they could just be more a little bit in the direction of feeling like you're in the anime, that's awesome. But, you know, where you're like, if you got a Blastoise and a Charizard and they both like Flamethrower and Hydro Pump and it like meets in the middle, kind of, you know, all sorts of Harry Potter-y situation. That's awesome. That's the best. So that stuff.
They could just do so much, and then it turns into steam, and then that hurts the visibility.
That's right.
And just it could be so.
Which just reminds me of 9 Parchments. There you go.
Sure. I don't know what that means in this context, but okay. All right. Moving on.
Maybe your party characters can only use 3 Pokemon like most NPCs, and the trainer type dictates the type of Pokemon that can be added to their team. Examples, youngsters can only use unevolved Pokemon, hikers can only use rock, fighting, and ground Pokemon, ace trainers can only use fully evolved Pokemon, swimmers, bird trainers, rockers, etc., etc. Basically, your party members are training to be the best NPC of that class, and you're taking them along with you on your journey. And they all have their own storylines, optional perhaps in a town. Your story is to find and beat the gym.
That's exactly what I was talking about.
Yep. Your story is to find and beat the gym. Hiker Joey has to go into a nearby mountain range to find a missing Pokemon, and swimmer Erica has to do a surfing racing minigame or whatever. Just extra stuff to do in each town and route depending on who you have with you in your party. Love the channel. Great work.
It's a pretty cool concept.
Thanks.
I like the ideas.
Yeah, that's the general idea of what I was talking about, where it's like I want to be able to, like, because there's so many different occupations in the world, where it's like I want to do a little bit of all of that, and then I also wanted to benefit my trainer in some way. So like it's like a skill tree where it's like, oh yeah, I've been working with Hiker Joey for a long time. Now I'm better at traversing caves and finding like ground and rock type Pokemon or something.
Preferred
like that.
terrain. It's a ranger thing, and
Yeah.
good old D&D.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, next up, Gilberto Caldera says, I have an idea. How about actually pushing for a proper finished product instead of rushing it out of the door? Take Pokemon to the next step.
He got spicy early.
I really like JRPGs. In my opinion, Pokemon has to step up because it is and always has been steps behind all of its competition. And Pokemon has so much potential. I really like Pokemon, but I feel like there is something missing. And now with Sword and Shield, I feel like it's even more noticeable than before, and that the series needs to be a bigger development cycle and more resources.
It's sometimes you hear the phrase like "too big to fail" thrown around. Skyrim and Elder Scrolls series is beginning to prove that that's not true. I don't know how much y'all keep up with that, but you know, Skyrim didn't really enhance a lot from the previous installment, number 4. Then you have Fallout 76 that is notorious. And if the next one doesn't deliver with some innovation, then we might actually see some consequences. Whereas before, Bethesda was able to kind of just coast. Can we see that with Pokemon? Or are they really like too big to lose their momentum?
I think the problem with Pokemon is that the biggest part of their audience is always going upwards, you know? Whereas like there's a lot of people that will say, I'm done with this, I'm sick of Pokemon, and then a new generation turns 10 and then they're in the Pokemon, you know?
That's true.
So it's like it's just like this rotating door effect.
Innovation doesn't matter when you're just getting like first generation gamers. Like a game is innovation for them. Like it's not Play-Doh or whatever. Like this is new. So
exactly.
Honestly, I was watching the Completionist made a video on Golden Sun. They made a Golden Sun video, and he talked about how it's like the perfect like kind of introductory JRPG and that kind of thing. And I think that Pokemon's just always going to be a little bit that as well. Where like, it kind of can't, it would be great if it had extra like JRPG stuff that was more complicated on top, but it needs to sort of, at least the regular mainline games kind of is supposed to be just the basic thing.
I think that Pokemon doesn't need to be a JRPG at all.
I think it can.
I think they could definitely go more in the Breath of the Wild direction. Because that is where it's like approachable for kids and that sort of thing. I think that they're just scared of losing the older fans. I don't think they need to be scared of that. But you know.
Do you think that's in addition to or instead of the mainline series? Like as it,
I think instead of.
Gotcha.
I think that if anything, the JRPG thing could be an addition to, you know? Where it's like instead, like kind of like how Pokemon Stadium used to be like, this is the console Pokemon thing. And now it's more of like a novelty where it's like, oh, you still like the Pokemon Stadium sort of thing. You can go to Pokemon Battle Showdown or whatever and battle like that. I think that it'll kind of turn into like a WoW Classic sort of situation. Where it's like, oh, you like the classic Pokemon? Well, here's a new Pokemon Classic game.
I feel like I agree with that in that it would be fun to have, I mean, like a Pokemon MMO kind of thing that's been talked about so many times, but that kind of thing where it's like, this is like the main thing. That's the Pokemon thing. And then you have the Pokemon RPG things as well, which are more like can introduce new Pokemon into the world and then you know, catch them all in that regard. But then I don't know, it would just be fun.
Yeah. Cause I feel like the bulk, like those people that I'm like, that make up the majority of the fan base, I don't think they care about how they're battling. I don't think that they're sitting there splitting hairs about, but that's not how my Pokemon, like that's not a Pokemon game. It's just a game with Pokemon in it, which is like my least favorite saying ever. I hate it. Because that's dumb. But like they don't care about that. They just want to catch and trade and like evolve their Pokemon and travel the world, because those are the real core tenets of what Pokemon is. That's what makes Pokemon. Because if it was actually the RPG elements and stuff like that, Pokemon trading cards wouldn't be Pokemon. Pokemon movies wouldn't be Pokemon. Pokemon shows wouldn't be the Pokemon plushes won't be you know, like it's like this rabbit hole that just doesn't make sense. So yeah, I think that if they make it a more approachable genre, which I mean, obviously the JRPG genre as a whole is like diminishing. Like there's a reason why Dragon Quest is like the one, you know, where it's like, well, we're here because that's our shtick. It's like everybody else is moving on to the new. We're going to be your like touchstone, like
Interestingly,
your comfort
I
food.
feel like JRPGs are dying out in Japan, but are still kind of building up in the West. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Curious how that pans out. But I'm going to read the last comment here.
I think even with that, they're kind of building up in like a boutique sort of way.
Yes, yeah.
Like Octopath Traveler, for instance, was one of those things that was like, oh yeah, this is neat. You know, like we don't get games like this very often. But it also sold to like 2 million people, like worldwide. Yep. So it's like that's performing well, but it's not something that like it didn't sell like Final Fantasy VII or whatever, right?
That is true. Jordan DeBest says, I was playing the demo for it, being Dragon Quest 11S Exorcism List of Age Definitive Edition for Switch. As someone who's starting to turn around on RPGs because I actually beat Fire Emblem, I tried the demo. Haven't beaten much of it, but it's okay. The cutscene in the beginning was beautiful. Not that into, but maybe if I play more, it would be better. I like how the game doesn't take too long to start. I would like travel companions. That would be cool. They did that a bit in X and Y and Sun and Moon, but an optional partner would be cool. Also, I know the Switch's limitations, but in my opinion, I think besides that tree they kept pointing out in Pokemon actually looks better. Dragon Quest 11S cutscenes are beautiful, but I think it needs an upgrade so it's less grainy looking. Update, sorry, not upgrade.
I think just general art style is more, at least to me. I don't know, you guys, maybe if you played it. I think how the art style of Dragon Quest looks just is executed better on Switch than Pokemon's is, because it's kind of like, it looks like an up-res 3DS game. Pokemon does. And I think Dragon Quest looks better than that.
I think I would say from the little bits I've seen of Dragon Quest and I guess the little bits I've seen of Pokemon, the art styles, the one for Dragon Quest 11 definitely feels like it is more intentional in the sense that like just more work was put into it in terms of like this rock's going to look like that and this rock's going to look like that kind of stuff, which isn't necessarily good or bad as far as that goes, but it definitely feels like more crafted as opposed to kind of the more, I mean, they're both cell shaded, but in a different sense where one of them feels a little more painterly or something in the...
Yeah, Pokemon feels more like, I mean, it feels more like what it is, where it's like they made a model and then they painted over that model. Whereas like Dragon Quest feels like it was, the model was sculpted like that, you know?
I agree. But yeah, that's the comments that we pulled for your video. Any last thoughts, AJ?
Nah, man, I'm going to make more Pokemon videos, so I hope you guys like Pokemon. Yeah. You know?
Dope. Sounds good. Any last thoughts, Mitchum?
I also like for my Pokemon to follow me around. One of my favorite parts about games is the immersiveness. So I hope that returns.
I agree.
And my imagination can fill in the gaps if the graphics are lacking. That's not a huge bother to me.
Yep. True. All right, some comments for my video. These will be pretty quick because of just the nature of it. I talked about all the games coming out in September and kind of a buyer's guide for that. So Kaye says, Link's Awakening looks good, but I don't want to spend $60 for 15 hours of gameplay.
I found that weird. Where it's like, that sounds like that's a lot of time, dude. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot. Like, say somebody walked up to you and was like, yo, you want to go to Disney World for 15 hours? $60. You know? Like, you're going like, no, that's way too much money. Like, what? Like, I don't know. That seems weird to me. I don't know. I just think that that's a slippery slope.
It is
to like.
It's hard because like when I started playing, or once I'd put 250 hours into Breath of the Wild, it's hard to compare games based on time things. You know, where like there's some games, Mario Tennis. I think by the end after the story mode, I only put like 5 hours into it, and that one I did not feel like was worth it. But sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, ooh. Yeah.
Oh, yes. So, but then there's other games. I commented on this just to ask, and I was like, what about, like Resident Evil 2, the remake takes about 9 hours to beat, which Justin said that, he corrected me and was like, that's probably just one playthrough, not the full 2 playthroughs, which is more content, which I'm like, yeah, that's true. But I guess on that point.
So what we're talking. So Resident Evil,
which was
2,
still 17 hours for completionist.
What? That's 20 hours. Then, like, let's be generous and say 20 hours. So 20 hours is worth $60. What's 15 hours worth? Does this game need to be $45 or $50? Like, what is the price point for 15 hours?
I think that's the thing is it's hard to. I think 15 hours is an extra justification on one hand, but like the time isn't. I guess you can't really just go off of that anyway.
That's not what the value of the game is. Yeah, that's not what the value is. And I think it's just like, okay, so because I put 1,000 hours in Smash Brothers, does that mean that I got to pay $300 for this game or something like that? Like, I don't know. It's just a slippery slope to like.
I mean, go for it.
I don't know. I'm kind of on the other side. I generally gauge my games the similar way that Kaye does. I'm like, how many hours of entertainment? And when you break it down, it looks, correct me if I'm wrong, so that's like $4 per hour. That doesn't seem too bad to me. But I mean, to each their own.
Yeah.
Fire Emblem, I put over 70 hours in, so that's less than $1 an hour. That was a great return on investment. But if there's a game that I would play for over 100 hours, $300, $3 an hour. I mean, it's got to be a dang good game. But I consider it a steal that I got Fire Emblem for $60.
Right.
I mean, over time, I would maybe put $300 into a game. I mean, people who played World of Warcraft since the beginning, they have subscriptions. They buy the expansions when they come out. So, like, I mean, subscriptions, you're paying for time. That's exactly what you're doing.
Yeah,
so I guess it's different models.
It factors in for sure, but it's hard to say whether it's the factor or not. You know, so that's the thing. I mean, but then again, if Link's Awakening just doesn't look like a fun game to them, that's fine too.
That's completely different.
You know,
that's completely different.
Because what I was wondering is like if this was a first person, they're not, but like third person over the shoulder environment, whatever, fully fleshed out game that was 15 hours, would that make the difference? Because I feel like it's a mix of the time, but also a little bit just the, I don't know, because it's a top-down game, it like looks like, oh, you're not very involved and immersed. It's not very immersive. So I think some of that really factors in probably too. I think
for me, time is usually an ancillary thing where it's like it can add or take away from something. It's not what is the deciding factor for me, right? Like there have been games where like Kirby Star Allies, that was like, I played that for like 6 hours. I'm like, all right, this wasn't worth it. And this was pre-product provided by Nintendo. So I paid for that and was not happy about it. But on the other end of that spectrum, Uncharted 4 is like 12 hours. And I feel like the game could have been like 5 hours shorter. Like it's just a lot of stuff like that where it's like it really just depends on what the game is and what
how much you enjoy the minute to minute everything and like how cohesive and stuff it is together. Because like the oh man, what game was I just thinking about?
Xenoblade?
No. Something else.
Fire.
It doesn't matter. I don't even remember. But something where just like you really enjoy the minute to minute things in it. Man, I'm still trying to remember. Like, but whatever.
Rip, dude.
It just feels more worth it for that to, you know, because you're at least enjoying all the time. But then whatever, it doesn't matter. My thought's gone because the example was gone. So
yeah, like I get what you're saying. Like the gameplay loop. Like I think a good example for that, I don't know, maybe Mitch, you know, like Metal Gear Solid 5. Like the gameplay loop of Metal Gear Solid 5 is like really good. It's like addictive.
I got you.
Or addicting, whichever one you want to say.
Yeah, I've never played that one, but I'm super interested. Monster Hunter is one for me.
Yeah.
It's
that's a good example.
Relatively repetitive at the point that I'm at now. Like they're about to come out with a downloadable content, but for a while we've just been working with the same roster of monsters and stuff. But I've still logged hundreds of hours into that game just because the loop is satisfying to me.
Yeah.
And so, like, that was time well invested for me. But, like, going back to Breath of the Wild, for instance, the hours I spent in that were valuable. If I had spent additional hours collecting the Korok seeds, that would not have added that. This does not spark joy.
Yeah. I think, so Daemon X Machina was the one that I thought of. I don't know right now if that's gameplay that I would enjoy or not, and so it's hard to say for sure with that one. Like it looks like it, you know, it's very immersive and all these things, like fully rendered environments, blah 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 blah, whatever. But I don't know necessarily, just because if that game takes 60 hours to beat all the parts of it, if I'm like kind of dreading all of the time playing it, which I don't know by any means if I will or won't, but if I were, then that's like, well, that wasn't worth my time at all. I'm just playing it for the sake of it, which has been the case for some games where like Diablo 3, perfect example of like, I got about 15 hours into that game and I was like, that wasn't worth my $60 because I didn't enjoy those 15 hours of playing it. Like, I was just doing it for the sake of doing it, and I just called it quits at some point where I was like, that's it. I'm good.
Yeah. That was so sad. I remember Diablo with you because the whole time I felt like I was building up to something. Like, but there was nothing.
It was not, whereas as opposed to like Zelda, because you also, I mean, we talked about this a little bit, but not this specific thought. Because in Diablo, you keep getting new items and you're like, haha, new items. Let's do things with these. But then they just feel so meaningless. So it always does feel like you're building up to something that eventually you're going to get something really good. Whereas in Zelda, as you're playing, every time you get something, that feels like it culminated the thing. Like, yeah, I got this thing. And that's really exciting. Yeah. Then you use that and that's fun. And then you find another thing and that feels like you got that thing. So, you know, like that kind of comparison of, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's whatever, blah, blah, blah. All that to say, I think it's a very valid thing to factor into it. But yeah, just the time spent in it by itself, I don't think is 100%, you know, what makes a game worth money, but it factors in for sure. I don't think it can't in a lot of regards. Seven says, Parker, you're alive. It's a miracle. Anyway, my only September Switch game will be Dragon Quest XI because I'm getting that Switch, and it just so happens to be the game that comes with it. Would very much like to pick up Spyro, Link's Awakening, and Ni no Kuni at a later stage, though. And that was at a later stage, though. Full stop. And then in a separate comment, because my... we leave a prompt question at the end of videos, and mine was, which of these games would a grandma like? And Seven said, also, my mom is a grandma, and she said she didn't seem interested in any of these games, so Nintendo better pick up their game in the coming direct, or she'll be stuck playing Candy Crush forever.
Rip, dude.
So there you go. But yep, agreed. I don't have much to say other than agreed with all.
Yeah, I got a new Switch and it didn't come with Dragon Quest XI, so...
Yep, that's stuff. And then last comment on this one. This is from our friend Max, who I had messaged him beforehand, and I was like, hey, if Mitch can't come on to talk about Blue Lions, we'll have you on to talk about Blue Lions, because he was Blue Lions.
Oh, yeah,
and right towards the beginning of, as we started recording, he was like, hey, you guys still recording? And I was like... I'm pretty sure I told you that I already had.
We need to just have, hey Max, come on the podcast next week, because Max just wants to be on the podcast. I'm down with it. You just gotta say it, man. Just DM one of us and say, "Yo, I want to be on the podcast next week." I need to look back at our messages now
and see. I don't want to have just straight up left him in the lurch.
I don't think it's him looking at the message.
Max says, as a grandma myself, I think I can definitely recommend Blasphemous to anybody. It's just got everything that I know my grandkids will love. It's pretty much a 2D Dark Souls, like very Dark Souls looking.
Very gory from what I've seen. I think I saw someone rip their own arm off.
Yep,
at some point.
That kind of stuff, straight up.
Pretty intense.
Max said, from this video, it seems like Dragon Quest XI might actually be your most anticipated game of September. If that's the case, then why? If not, what is your most anticipated and why? I think Ori and the Blind Forest and Blasphemous are more exciting to me than Link's Awakening, as I never played the original game on Game Boy. Definitely gonna take some of your advice and lighten my big load in September.
How dare you? First of all, everybody needs to be most excited for the one that I put in the thumbnail.
That's right.
That's how thumbnails work.
That's correct. Product placement. I think, I mean, on a personal level, could be. It's hard to say. Yeah, definitely Dragon Quest and Link's Awakening. Both of those I'm probably most excited about, but probably more Dragon Quest than Link's Awakening, only because I have played Link's Awakening.
How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah. And I'm just curious it's been so long since I've played it, because the last time was, maybe like 15 years ago at this point. So I'm curious what that is going to be like, whereas Dragon Quest XI, I just know it's going to be just a big old JRPG, and like that's just always a fun thing. But Link's Awakening, I'm curious. There's a fruit fly in here. Curious what that's going to be like, and if it's going to be a magical time, or like if I'll feel like,
hey, fruit fly, going through this. What's your most anticipated game, fruit fly?
You don't say. All right, and that's it for those things. Any last things on September games, y'all?
Well, yeah, I have an anticipated game. It's Astral Chain. I'm probably not going to get to play it because of board.
Until September.
Well,
Yeah.
Astral Chain's
That comes out today.
Astral Chain's out
That's right.
already. It's already here.
yeah, I
It came
know,
out.
but I'm just trying to budget well because I'm already going to play Borderlands when that comes out in 2 weeks, and then Iceborne when that comes out
Yep.
in 1 week. So I'm already split between those two. I don't want to rush Astral Chain. I want to enjoy it.
At this point, I'm not going to be playing Astral Chain right when it comes out anyway, so I'm fine to have that one be one that I'm just waiting on until probably like birthday or Christmas. I'll stick on one of those lists as like that game because I know it's going to be great, but like I'm fine to just miss out for the time being. There's plenty of games that I'm late on.
I was thinking about that because I want to play this game. Like, I legitimately want to play Astral Chain, but like the only reason why I was going to rush to play it, or not the only reason why, the main reason why I was going to rush to play it was to make a video about it. But once the Pokemon thing happened, I was like, well, I'm fine with that. I'll wait. And then I was like, wait, I'm not going to wait. Like, I know how I am, and this game, it's going to be old games, all the other stuff is out. I'm not going back to that. Are you crazy? So it's like, I have to play it now or I'm never going to play it.
Yep. Makes sense. And that is it for that. Now the Q&A section. And here we go. We're going to blast through some of this too. We started quite a bit late and also all that stuff. So we're going to go pretty quick through some of this. This is comments from last week. Jonathan Z says, why don't you show your faces anymore? And AJ responded to him in the comments. But long story short, technical difficulties because Google Hangouts.
Yep.
So we're kind of working on it, but we're not working too hard on it either.
We're waiting for everything to just like be stable because everything's like crazy and weird, and it's like I was thinking about doing it this week, but then we were having Mitch on, and we had to figure that stuff out. So I don't want to add another thing to figure out on top of that. So it's like, next week maybe we'll be on video. Who knows? Then again, next week will probably be weird because we're switching videos and like all this stuff.
Yeah,
so
that's
who
true.
knows me. Probably the week
next
after
week,
that.
Heads up for anybody who cares. I'll be doing my video on Tuesday, and he'll be doing the Thursday one instead. So switching that up because of reasons.
Will I use that time wisely instead of rushing and finish my video the day before? Who knows?
I mean, honestly, there's a good chance that right around then is going to be. This is not insider knowledge because I don't actually get any of that, but probably September Direct next week. Maybe. Who's to say? So then you can just do like a thing with that.
Which again, will that be easier? Who knows?
Not if you do it the way you did the Indie World one. That's for sure.
Yup.
All right.
And because of the way that my brain works, nobody ever knows when I decide to make my life harder, you know?
Very true. 7, here's this very long comment, and I am going to read it. Here it goes. I like Matt. He has a soothing voice. Kind of want to get Yu-Gi-Oh! Game myself, but I'd be just as lost since I fell off during the GX, which was actually my favorite one now that I'm older. Yeah, it starts out pretty stupid, especially the dub, but it ramps up every season and gets pretty epic near the end. It is just such a perfect early 2000s high school time capsule and reminds me of chilling with my own crew in the schoolyard. It was the first time the boys saw me as their friend instead of the fat girl who'd beat the crap out of them if they called her that. I didn't enjoy 5D's, the motorcycle one, either. Yusei was a bit too emo for me. I've recently started watching Arc V, and I'm sort of starting to understand how pendulum summons work, so if I get the game, I'll probably follow AG's path too. Either that, or I'll keep playing the Dual Academy on the GBA. On a tangentially related note, did you guys also have the Tazos in potato chip packets in the 90s/early 2000s? I recently found my Dragon Ball Z and Yu-Gi-Oh! Albums with shinies and 3D ones and still feel weirdly proud for collecting them all. I even got my grandma in on it. She only ever ate plain salted flavor and would always have a whole stack of Tazos for me to take home whenever I went to visit her. By the way,
I don't even know what that is.
I looked it up. They seem kind of like Pogs.
I think I had a few of those. I thought I remembered getting them like in starter decks of Pokemon. So I had like 4 muck ones.
I think those, I don't know if those were, I don't know. Maybe they were Tazos. Could those have just been the coins that you flip?
When you said Pogs, that's what I had in mind.
Oh, okay. I don't know. So
maybe I don't know what a Pog is.
Oh,
maybe
well, there you go.
Everything. I don't know what anything is.
Pogs honestly look a lot. I think probably you could have used those coins. I think those coins were supposed to be, their main purpose was just for the coin flip part where it's like flip a coin if blah, 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 blah on the card. And I think that was all those are supposed to be. But it could be that they overlapped and were also Tazos or something, but probably not because of licensing, and they would have had to pay money for that.
Yeah.
But Pogs were essentially little chip things that looked like that had different characters on them, and you do something, I don't know, you slap them on something and shout something and punch people in their faces, probably. I don't know.
Excellent. Cool.
Yeah.
I don't have much experience with that. Also, Seven, if you're into Yu-Gi-Oh, see if you can find Duelist of the Roses. That's an old one. I think you have to have a GameCube for it, but it's a fun take on Yu-Gi-Oh. I really enjoyed that.
Duelist of the Roses. Good stuff. And then Seven finishes up by saying, by the way, AJ, you said Futaba right, at least according to the English VO, and just narrowly flew by how they chose to say Akechi, but that doesn't matter because he sucks, so disrespecting his name is actually more accurate. LOL. Love it.
Is that how you say that? I don't know if that's how you say the last name that you said, because I don't remember how I
how you said it either.
See, this is the thing. That's another reason why I didn't like making that last video, because a lot of it was pronunciation. And usually I would go through I would go through and be like, okay, like let me look up pronunciation video, because they're names. They're like common names in whatever these countries are. So I like try to figure out how to say the name. This time I didn't have time for that. So I just straight up told you, I don't know how to say this name. So I think that's how I'm going to approach it from now on, because my life is already hard enough as it is. You know what I mean? And
the last comment from last week was Mark Andrews. AJ, I hate nerd stuff. Also, AJ, I'm going to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! For 10 billion hours.
This time we talked about Fire Emblem.
Also
for
nerd
like
stuff. We love it.
I loved it.
Yeah, but to be fair, that wasn't my idea, you know?
You're the one who decided to play it as well.
That's true, but I did it for the content.
True. So yeah, there you go. And now we ask you questions. Well, we ask you guys if you have any questions for us. So here's some of those from the YouTube community first, which is just should show up on your YouTube app if you do that. Marky Mark, same person, asks, there's quite a lot of 90s remakes and ports on the Switch nowadays coming in the near future. For example, Spyro, Toe Jam and Earl, James Pond, and the Aladdin / Lion King double pack. Which popular 90s games / franchises would you like to see on the Switch? I'd like Earthworm Jim, Cannon Fodder, and Abe's Odyssey to make a comeback. Cheers, Mark Andrews. I had one thought for this based on some of those, like Earthworm Jim reminded me of it specifically. Jazz Jackrabbit. That would be fun in some regard.
A lot of them I could think of, like I would have, it already happened. Like I probably would have said Lion King. Lion King.
I mean, some of the other Disney Afternoon Collection stuff, I guess. I mean, I never played those, so.
Yeah, and that's not even on here. Like they have that though, but it's not on Twitch, which is dumb.
Do you have any, Mitch, that you'd like to see?
I honestly can't bring any to mind. Not to say I don't have any, but I think just being put on the spot, I've got no idea.
No, that's not like well, it's kind of a 90s thing. Put Fur Fighters on the Switch.
Sure, I don't even know what it is, but there you go. Oh, Banjo-Kazooie.
It's like a Dreamcast thing.
Heck yeah, Banjo.
Banjo, easy.
Yeah.
I mean, Golden Sun.
Yes, please.
They cannot put that one on there. That's
no,
fine.
man alive. I really hope that when they theoretically put SNES games on soon, they also just go ahead and do Game Boy at the same time and do Game Boy Advance with it.
See, it's never going to happen because you still haven't made that video yet, so it's just not going to happen. That's how things work. Because new stuff only happens when we make a video about it.
All right, I'm going to do it. Next up, Sam Diaz. And AJ thought this one was mean-spirited, and I thought it wasn't, so we'll find out. Here we go. Sam Diaz says, I think Parker...
Let us know in the comments if you were being mean.
Sam Diaz says, I think Parker knows some black magic, because sadly, he never stays dead. And Sam, you know what? If you're joking, cool. If you're not joking, I'm sorry about it.
That's
Here
messed
I am.
up. It's messed up, dude.
But if there are things, and I appreciate you one way or another, whether you think I'm dumb or not.
Sadly part, and that's what ruined the whole comment. Because at first I thought it was funny, and then he put sadly, honestly, and I was like, well.
Every other time that I read over it earlier, I completely missed the word sadly. So I think you're probably more right than not. In which case, I'm sorry, Sam.
I mean, but also, would you be happy if someone knew black magic? That's probably not something you want to mess with.
That's true. Whoa, you know what?
So deep.
When I die, don't bring me back to life, please. Or if you do, like,
too late.
A different body.
It's too late. You already came back.
Yep.
Because you were on the podcast one week, and then you ripped, and now you're back.
Oh, that's true.
So
yeah,
you're doing it,
man.
I knew I was dead inside.
Oh man, more questions. These are from Twitter. Mystical Ninja starring Duncan asks, why do they... I read this. I commented on it on Twitter saying this, that I read this like 29 times and just still don't understand what it means, but here it goes anyway. Why do they call it oven when you in the cold food and you hot eat the food? Hot eat the food. Sorry, I read it wrong. But yeah, when you in the cold food, out hot eat the food.
Why do they call it?
The first part makes sense, and then it's missing some words. Why do you call it an oven when you in the cold food? I guess like at least syntax.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but syntax it kind of works as a pun. I don't know what the end part means. So what do you guys think? Just gut reactions.
So what is he asking? Why they don't call it a of out?
Yeah. Because, syntax may be wrong, but you know what? It should be like once it's been oved, so you take it out of the oven when it's hot. So, you're getting hot food. It's like a toaster because it's toasting food.
Yeah, but to do the function of the oven, you got to put it in.
That's true.
You can't take it out if you didn't put it in. And you don't take,
So it's called the of...
It's the of
through.
Out, then in.
Yeah.
Of out, then of in, then out.
There's some other preposition options that I think we can consider.
Because.
Yeah. I think before I even started contemplating the sentence, I wondered about the name. Mystical Ninja starring Duncan. Is it like a show like Mystical Ninja starring Duncan?
I think it is.
Or is it a mystical ninja who is starring Duncan? Like, I finally found you, Duncan.
Or it's Duncan who Mystical Ninja stars. Like, Duncan, the mystical ninja star. Like, he uses stars himself.
Oh, and okay.
Yeah. So, the mystical ninja who's starring, whose name is Duncan. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Okay.
Astral Chains.
Gotcha.
Also, Max, who's the same person. Parker, what's it like being dead? How did Resurrection feel? It's like me. It's like in Fire Emblem when a story critical character dies, but there's...
He said, is it like...
I messed up so much. Is it like Fire Emblem when a critical story character dies, but they're still wandering around the monastery giving you training and missions? Are you like a ghost now? Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. It's really... You would know. Max, you've done it before yourself.
Yeah, you're currently
just like
dead.
Mitch.
You're currently rich.
Actually, AJ as well. Come on, everybody. It's just a big old ghost party.
Yes.
Just all in denial of it. Kind of like Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way.
You ruined it.
Oh, dang. Sorry. I figured spoiler alert after 20 years.
The first time I watched that, there was a girl watching it with us that honestly, like, it was in high school.
She shouldn't have been watching it.
I don't think she was like, she wasn't like she was one of my sister's friends and she was very ditzy and not like the smartest person, whatever.
She was more of an of in than an of out.
Yeah. But I don't know if she already knew it or she didn't. But halfway through the movie, she was like, wait, has he been dead the whole time? Like way before the reveal. And she was like 14 and I was 11. And I was like, what? She ruined it.
Yeah.
But now I'm sure she's very smart. I felt bad for saying that.
Maybe she is smart, though.
Honestly, you're probably right.
Maybe she's like Gavin from Slow Mo Guys and Rooster Teeth, where it's like how he like expresses himself sounds dumb, but like when people like mull it over, they're like, wait, he's right though. Maybe she's like that.
Yep. Good point. Next question. Bianca Wicks asks, what is the dumbest / weirdest thing you've ever done while raging in a game? At a game. I can't think. I thought about this after reading it, and I don't really rage that much in games. Like even playing Dark Souls or whatever, I'm like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. When I die, I'm like, here we go again.
I have two things. Sorry, you can go, AJ.
I was just going to basically do what Parker just did and say, I don't know, because like I don't think I do that. Like how I was playing Smash Brothers, you heard me playing Smash Brothers? That's how I play it, where I'm like, oh, that was dumb, but I'm not like, oh, it's freaking killing me and break my controller or whatever. Like I'm like, that sucks. Oh,
I very much thought Ashley was going to break our controllers though when playing something. Oh no, she legit, when we were playing Mario Kart, when like 4 years ago or something, and something happened. She went from like second to got hit by something and was all of a sudden like 11th place.
Oh, she got Mario Karted. Yeah.
And she'd been doing pretty well, and then just like chucked the Wii and the controller and nunchuck on the couch, luckily, but like threw it like a bounced a bunch and stuff, and was like, mother, and just like super mad. I was like, Ashley, it's okay, it's just a game. But I mean, I play games all the time, so like I'm used to like, oh, bad things happened.
That probably made it worse. That probably made it way worse. Is you being like invalidating her anger?
No.
She has a lot more emotions on both directions than I do. I'm just pretty like bloop, normal, just straight, kind of right down the middle of the road. What about you, Mitch? You said you had 2.
Yeah. So one of these is mine.
I killed a man once. That's what
I did.
That's just what I thought when he's like, I have a couple of things like
yeah, there's some I can't actually talk about. I went to pick up Bloodborne, and the GameStop guy was like, "This is pretty hard." And I'm like, "I play a lot of games. I understand."
Was this before Dark Souls 3?
This is my first Soulsy kind of game.
Yep.
So like right in the first area, I was getting manhandled by these like mob dudes, like level 1. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I twisted my PlayStation controller until I heard it like crack.
Out of anger and frustration?
Anger. I was like 2 hours in the game, just still getting whooped up on, and I had to just step away for a moment after that. Man, I ended up beating it. It's a great game, by the way.
Mm-hmm. It is. I like the game a lot.
It's so good. No, I don't know. I was so used to games when the mobs were like just letting you beat up on them,
right?
And that's just not. The mobs in Dark Soulsy type games generally make the right move within their move set. They're not going to just like let you beat up on one guy while everyone else just stands around and watches like a kung fu movie.
Each one is slightly challenging.
I mean, they're kind of like a kung fu movie once you get the pattern.
Yes,
because they make very deliberate movements. So it's like one guy will be like, oh, and he'll like slash over his shoulder, and then like he'll go through that whole animation, and then the guy's like, oh, okay, well I don't want to get in the way of your animation because I'll die. So he'll wait for him to do his animation, and then he'll come after you. And it's like a whole thing. But like when you're first going through it, it's like, oh my god, this is impossible. How do I do this?
Yep, that sounds about right. So I've had some varied experiences, just like you described. Yep. So I almost broke my controller in half, and then this one's for my friend. This one's especially humorous to me. He was playing some Zelda game on the 3DS, and so maybe you know what it is. I don't know which one it is, but it was at some point where he's at a wall and there's a door and he can't open the door and there's a map involved or something like that. And the game's tip is like press your face to the map or press your nose to the map or your hands. I don't remember what
something. It was Phantom Hourglass.
Okay.
This is Tony, right?
Okay.
This was like my friend Josh, but maybe Tony
had the
same
exact same
thing.
Story then.
Anyway, so 3DS got the screen on the bottom, the screen on the top. One of the screens shows like the overworlds or like the kind of top downy of Link, and the other shows like your inventory or whatever you have pulled up. So like my friend just went through, according to him, like 20 minutes worth of just trying different variations of walking and pressing buttons and putting things on and taking things off and talking to people and killing people just to open this stupid door. And so he had like the map out, and the clue was like touch your something to the map. I don't remember. So out of frustration, he just like slams shut his 3DS and throws it on the couch and comes back like a week later and opens it up, and the door's just open. Like when he opened his 3DS, the door was open. And apparently what you had to do was close your 3DS. Yep. You had to touch one screen to the other screen.
That was literally exactly Tony's story as well. That's really funny that everybody went through that.
I love that. It's a rage moment that actually accomplished something.
You know what would be even worse than that? If he had a 2DS and he was playing it on that.
Man, that's a great point. Because you
compatible. What would you even do?
That's what I've got a 2DS. How do you do that?
You press the sleep button, but that hint doesn't work for that.
You're right. Okay. That's funny. Good question. Okay, moving along. Patrick Green asks, number 1, I want to know how you like Pokemon Masters League. We talked about it already.
It's stupid, dude. But maybe as I get further, it'll be more mechanically interesting, and I won't want to put it on auto. Who knows?
There you go.
AJ just hasn't spent enough money on it yet.
That's right.
How are the microtransactions?
I spent 0 monies, not a single money, not one.
How are the microtransactions in that game?
It doesn't feel like it walls you off. Maybe because, like I said, all the like trainers that I've gotten have all been 3 stars. all of them. So maybe if I spent money, I would get better stars.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like I need it right now.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Seems fine on that front.
It's good.
Number 2, what are your future plans for getting more jerks watching and subbing to your channel?
I mean,
Jerks
no shortcuts for
specifically?
that.
Well, I'm just kidding.
Pokemon videos.
No, yes, exactly. But yeah, no shortcuts. You know, just trying to make good stuff that people like and want to share and tell their friends about. Because and also that people want to watch, so that YouTube is happy.
Yeah.
You know, as a system. So they're like, oh yeah, people like your videos. We're going to show it to other people now. Because they used to.
Yep. Yeah, that's honestly like from my conversations with AJ, it seems like that's the biggest thing. It's just like for a lot of other channels, when they blow up is when one or more videos, but usually when one video just like something, YouTube just decides it likes it and then shows it to everybody, and then everybody's like, oh, what's this channel? And then more stuff like that kind of keeps happening. But usually it's like one main one where that happens, and that happened back in the day on fanatixfour. And then at this point, after we had kind of a fall off, it just has not done anything close to that. Instead, YouTube's kind of done the opposite, where it's like, I'll show it to the people that specifically want to watch it already, and that's about it. Which is great that it's...
And sometimes not even them.
Yes. Honestly, if it could even at least show it to the people that already want to watch it, that's a good start, but that's not even always the case.
Yeah, dude.
Yep. Patrick Green's question number 3. Hi. Good stuff.
Hello.
Totally with you there.
Why is that number 3?
Because... yeah, exactly. Bob Wolf asks,
who's that?
if midichlorians aren't a thing anymore, did Anakin's mom lie about
Why'd
her
you say it
immaculate
like
conception? Question mark. Midichlorians?
Why'd you say
Midichlorians?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying it the way that I said it.
How don't you know? Where are they from, Parker?
Star Wars.
I think
So how don't you know how to say it?
Because I've seen them written way more times than I've heard them talked about.
Oh, you're a nerd, dude. You're a nerd.
Well, that's also because
dude.
I haven't heard them talked about very much at all.
I think my middle school teacher told me that midichlorians are the powerhouse of the cell.
Okay, so not having grown up in the U.S., I didn't have that common experience that every American child apparently has, because Ashley said the same thing, to where she's like, she saw some tweet or Tumblr post or something where it was somebody was like, I just wake up in the middle of the night sometimes and remember that, what is it?
The mitochondria.
The mitochondria. That, man, but good thing the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell or something like that. And like, I've never heard that terminology, but apparently that was like the thing you learned about mitochondria. But nothing else.
Yep. I don't think they have those in
I
Europe.
remember that vaguely.
Yeah, they don't have mitochondria in Europe. You're so right.
Nope. Just tea.
Just tea.
That's true. That's
So it
true.
makes Fire Emblem really easy.
That's also true. You probably got all the tea times.
So true.
So many sparkles.
Speaking of Fire Emblem, the last question. Yeah, Bob, who's just... They had a...
We didn't even answer his question.
There was a
We
great
just
conversation
completely-
going on Twitter between him, Izzy, Will, and some other people. And I was like, all right, whatever they're talking about.
I mean, was it? We'll talk about that. Oh,
When we have Maury on.
Indeed.
but yeah, she was a dirty cheater, dude.
That's right. So she didn't only lie about that. Everything she's ever said was a lie. So makes you question everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sand's not real.
Also, easy enough. Last but not least, Benjamin Aquino says, since we are talking about Fire Emblem and I'm obsessed with it, working through my second playthrough, I would like to know who each of you thought was the best dateable character in the game and why. By the way, I finished the game as Golden Deer and now working on Black Eagles. Represent.
Saving the best for last, I see.
The best
Do you guys have like?
dateable character in the game and why? Should we give a guy and girl answer?
I don't know. I don't even know if I can give one or the other,
Yeah.
because I really didn't pay attention to that. Once I found out that it didn't matter, I didn't really care.
All the characters had a lot of character growth, and I feel like none of them are dateable in the first half. Well, except for maybe Petra is just like sweet as can be the whole time. So like,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
true.
know.
She's just straight up Starfire.
Yes,
from Titans,
absolutely.
the show.
Oh, man. I can't unsee it now. It's
You're so
absolutely
right.
it.
I mean, I picked Marianne, like I said, and she had great character development and was cool by the end, but I wouldn't necessarily say is like the best dateable character. I don't know. I feel like all things considered, like just well-rounded character, like Claude is pretty up there. Like just as far as like somebody, I don't know. If you play through, if you play through as a girl, because some of the characters you can date guys being guys and other ones you can't, and he's one that you can't.
I think it's like one or
very
maybe
few,
two.
and some of them are just kind of surprising. Like really, like the him and not him.
I think you can pair with Dorothea if you're a boy.
And I think Alois for some reason
Saw that.
That one seems weird. I don't know. Like I just don't know. He's just a weird character in general. So like I don't know.
I liked Alois.
Okay.
He had the puns. He had dad jokes
He did.
all
That's
day.
true. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts. I think probably Petra and Claude would be my guesses.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Petra is a safe one. I don't really like Dorothea that much as a person. She's kind of like, I don't know, the whole like thing of like, oh, I hate the noble people and whatnot. It's like, I mean, it's justified given her reasoning or whatever. But like, still, I don't know. I'm just very much so not that type of person.
Yeah.
That's like this group of people. Well, one person from this group of people did this to me, so I hate that group.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very much so on the other end of that. Where it's like, nah, that person sucks, but like, I don't know the rest of the people in that group.
True.
So I wouldn't marry her, but Petra, I guess, is the only other one that was even an option for me. Where I was like, I'm not even thinking about the rest of these people. Bernadette, she's like 3, so I'm not even thinking that. So it was like either her or Petra, or I guess I told you that by accident I recruited, or not. I guess accident's not the right word. Because I wasn't like, oops. But I was like, I didn't mean to do that. But like, whatever, dude. Manuela. Her either. She's high maintenance. Not doing it.
She's one of the few characters who like actually disliked something that I did. Like, I think she asked me something. I'm like, no, I'd rather not. And she was like,
I had that happen one time. I think with Claude, actually. I said something and he was like, and he never talked to me again.
Yep. Sounds like fun.
she's a Rolling Stone. That's all I'm saying.
Together in no moss.
What do you think?
I guess it kind of depends on what you're asking. As far as like the best dateable, like
which one's high, dude? Which one's high?
you have equal opportunity with almost any of them. Like you can have the same depth of interaction and like tea time if you're into it, or bond time, or any of that stuff. So like as far as opportunity goes, that's equal around the board. I personally, in Blue Lions, started out going with Mercedes. Thought she was just sweet and nice and kind, but it became one-dimensional as time passed. Like there was just not a lot of change there, and so I jumped ship after the time skip over to
dude.
Well, I mean, 5 years is a long time, man.
long time.
I think time has healed that wound. And I went with Annette and was very happy with that decision. Annette is a bit quirky and clumsy, but generally seems like a lighthearted person. So it was fun.
Good stuff.
Yep.
And that is it. NVC actually had a good conversation about all this stuff. I listened to their Fire Emblem most dateable characters talk. It was fun. But yeah, that's all we've got for this week. AJ, any closing thoughts?
You know what? Don't date Dorothea though, because she's not nice in terms of people. You know, you shouldn't judge a whole library by one book's cover. You know what I'm saying?
That's so true. That's well said. I killed her in my playthrough.
Also, cheesecake is still pie. Goodbye.
Whoa.